You're live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council regular meeting of Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. I apologize for the delay. We were having some technical difficulties. If you would please rise if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on now to the roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Budrago,
Here.
Councilor Camillo,
Here.
Councilor Donahue,
Here.
Councilor Menke,
Here.
Councilor Nagel, Councilor Page,
Here.
Councilor Rada,
Here.
Mayor Del Buono.
Here. Thank you, Susan. Councilor Nagel is traveling and was unable to get back in time for the meeting, so I just wanted to let everyone know that. He said if he did somehow arrive back in the States in time, he would hop on. Okay, next item this evening is approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I just have one change. I table the presentation under 4A until next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Lauren is her kids are ill, so she's unable to make the meeting.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Councilor Donahue. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. This evening is public participation. I'm going to have to utilize someone else's computer to see if there are people online. For those of you in the room, we do have public participation open to those in the room as well as online. So we will be alternating between the two to make sure that we're fair to both those members of the public that are here in person as well as trying to participate through the Zoom feature. If you are a member of the public in using the Zoom feature and you'd like to acknowledge that you want to be heard, please raise your hand in the public participation window. If you are on your phone, *9 will do the same function for you. And then *6 will allow you to be recognized to speak when it's your turn. We do ask that if you speak, you state your name and address for the record. We have a 3-minute time limit, and on the screens, you'll see that bar at the bottom. It does move along to help folks kind of gauge when the 3 minutes is up. Oftentimes we'll give a little bit of leeway, but with a crowd this size, we're going to really try to stick to that 3-minute time limit. And we just ask that dialogue be civil and no personal attacks. That's just how we're governed here. So I will open it up to anyone in the public that would like to come up is welcome to come forward, state your name and address for the record. Whoever would like to begin.
Do you have one
This
online?
is just,
You have one online.
okay.
Hang on.
Francesca Lucia.
You're welcome to come up and have a seat, and then you'll be next in line if you want. We'll take the online call first. My email's just not updated. Welcome. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Francesca Lucia, and my address is 79 Hawley Street here in Newington. I'm here to just speak on behalf of the agenda item where the council is considering an appointment for the replacement of departing councilwoman Sharon Braverman. I'm just here to speak on behalf of John Trister for an appointment. I've gotten to know John personally, over the last year since I've moved here to Newington, and he is someone who's really dedicated to our community, who has a vision for making it a better place, and who has already, expressed interest in doing the job by running a couple of years ago. So I would love to see him on the council, and thank you all for your time and for your consideration. That's the end of my comment.
Okay, thank you. In the room now, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Good evening. My name is Mark France, 288 Williamstown Court. And I sit here before the council in support of moving forward with the nomination of hopefully a council member, John Trister. I've known John Trister for several years now. I know him to be a person of integrity, I know him to be a person of great investment in the future of our town. He has 2 children that are in our school system. And so he's right there in the forefront of kind of like what's going on. And I think that he's going to give back in many ways. And probably one of the greatest ways he's going to give back is by getting feedback from his kids in terms of moving forward with investing in good quality education in this town, which we know is one of the reasons why people love to come and stay in Newington, is because of our education system. Furthermore, he is also actively involved with the Town and Planning Zoning Commission. He's been on there, and he's getting a sense of, I believe, what is going on in the town in terms of planning, in terms of, and I think he's got the right sense of balance. I think he's going to be fair. He's going to be a good member of the council. And I think in the sense of being, fair and balanced, I think that he's going to be a great addition. And I think that he deserves a very welcoming opportunity to be on board. Furthermore, and to have, as we call it, Newington growth in progress, and to give him the opportunity to grow in progress in this new role, hopefully. So again, this is in favor of, hopefully all the council members here would agree with me that John Trister is definitely a good man, and would have not only my support and many people's support, but also everyone's support on this council. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Franz. Okay, we're going to move to an online, but if anybody wants to come up and be ready for being next.
There's nobody.
Oh, there's nobody.
Nothing there.
Nobody has their hand up yet. Welcome, Ms. Francolino.
Hi, Eileen Francolino, 116 Lidle Road. The reason I decided to come and speak tonight has to do with the spirit of volunteerism in our town. I think if we decide to, or you guys decide to take the precedent of letting our town committees decide who fills the vacancies on the boards and commissions, and turn it upside down and decide that you guys can decide who fills the boards and commissions, it's going to make it less and less likely that people are going to stick their necks out and come and volunteer. It's a difficult process to go through, to sit before your town committee and say, hey, I'd like this, and have somebody cut you down at the knees or say yes, and then come before the town council and have somebody turn around and say, just kidding, we don't want you. You know, that would do nothing but hurt the spirit of volunteerism in our town. We have a hard time filling our boards and commissions and our council slates and whatever. And if all of a sudden we turn around and turn that process upside down, I think that process is going to become even more and more difficult. And I would hope that tonight you would recognize precedent and let our town committee fill the vacancy as it has done in the past, and hold by that precedent so that we can move forward without any thought of losing more volunteers in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone online with their hand up? So anyone else in the room that would like to come up may?
Nathus, 49 Whitewood Road here in Newington. Heard a remark here on behalf of mother, actually. So bear with me here. Neither affinity nor affection for public speaking, but I am here. She starts with my name and address, so let me skip ahead here. I've been a resident of Newington since 1985. We all want to express our deep concern at what is being offered as an alternative nomination to the Newington Democratic Town Committee's recommended and nominated replacement of the retiring Sharon Braverman. A precedent and understanding has existed in replacement of town council members between the political parties since the beginning of the town council government formation. Should someone leave the council, the political party of that member interviews and nominates a new individual to fill the position. The council then votes to accept whoever that political party nominates, regardless of who is in the majority. John Trister, who is nominated by the NDTC, has been involved in our community for several years in various roles and is more than qualified to serve in this new capacity. the S because in the spirit of, in closing, breaking this historic precedent and understanding between the political parties is guaranteed to cause problems in our town moving forward. We need to respect each other and keep good faith for the good of the town and its citizens. So please vote to approve John Trister for the Town Council of Newington. Thank you.
Was that in your mom? Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gia Pasquarelli. I live at 62 Wells Drive North. I've lived here in Newington for 14 years, going on 15 years, and I actually serve on two commissions right now. So I'd like to just sort of ratify what Ms. Francolino said about volunteerism and the importance of everything that everybody contributes who wants to volunteer and who does put themselves out there, for, just being a kind of a public servant. I'm here to recommend and endorse John Trister for the newly open Democratic seat in the Town Council. But before I do that, I want to thank Sharon Braverman for her long and dedicated service to the town of Newington. But let me not stop there. I want to also thank every one of you who are sitting in front of me right now. You're all volunteers, and without your service, we would not have the leadership we need to guide the business of the town. You're doing the work of the town week after week, and you're doing it on your own time. And you could be sitting at home in your pajamas right now. I've come to know John in the last year, and now John and I serve together on town planning, zoning, and the Town Planning and Zoning Commission. John will dedicate himself to the town's business conscientiously and responsibly. He'll be someone the residents of Newington can rely on to listen to their concerns and respond accordingly. Knowing how approachable, kind, and generous John is, he will be somebody that our residents, both young and old, will enjoy interacting with. Without maybe aging myself a little too much here, I think that having someone like John, who is young, I mean, he's younger than me, he is fresh and optimistic. And I think having someone young, fresh, and optimistic serve Newington is great for Newington, don't you think? John, talking to you, fairness and transparency are without question the most important principles that you can carry throughout your work here. I've seen you do that before. We need more fairness. We need more transparency in every aspect of our life. So why not in town government? So John, you have my support. I'm counting on you to bring your earnestness, your energy, and your love for Newington to this role. Thank you, and have a great night.
Pasquarelli.
So, I do have one.
Jumped up.
Well, that they can wait because that popped up right as you were entering. So welcome.
Welcome. Neil Ryan, 237 Brockett Street. The heart of Newington. First of all, I want to make a comment. It's really refreshing to see the town manager here tonight at a town council meeting in person. We haven't had that for 3 years. It's a nice touch. I really mean that, Jim. Well done. I want to briefly discuss the issue we've been discussing tonight, namely the resignation of Sharon Braverman and her replacement. My understanding is that the Newington Democratic Town Committee, through its nominating committee, has recommended that John Trister be appointed to the town council as Sharon's replacement. The town council should accept and welcome John as its new member and to discussion. However, apparently, another individual has just submitted their name to the town manager, indicating they want to be added to the town council instead of John. Now, I'm not certain what's going on here, but it sounds like a little gamesmanship. This individual should have followed proper procedures and submitted their name to the Democratic Town Committee and its nominating committee for consideration as new Democratic Town Council appointee. This was not done. This individual seems to be trying to pull an end run that may violate the town charter and is certainly unethical and ill-considered. Now, bear with me. I like to give a brief historical example of how this process has worked and should work. In 2013, Beth Del Buono ran for mayor against Steve Woods, lost. At that point, Beth was no longer on the town council. However, following the 2013 election, A young man by the name of Dave D'Annunzio, a Republican Town Council member at the time, announced he was moving out of Newington to points unknown. This created an opening for a new Republican Town Council member. At that point, Beth contacted the Newington Republican Town Committee, and their nominating committee recommended Beth as their candidate to replace Mr. D'Annunzio. Beth's name was submitted to the Town Council, which at that time had a Democratic majority. And the town council and its mayor, Steve Woods, graciously welcomed Beth back to the town council. That is the way the process has worked in the past, and that's the way it should work in the future. Nice, simple, and straightforward. And my suggestion is that this town council make the only correct, proper, and ethical decision, and welcome John Trista as new Democratic town council member. It's really the only choice you have here. I mean, this shouldn't be an issue. We shouldn't even be discussing this. This is a formality, really, but you've turned it into an issue. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Why is the thing not connected? I'm just letting you know. It's loaded and then it looks like it's going. It's not connecting. So I don't know what we need to do, but we do have someone online. So we're gonna let them speak and then we'll get back to in person. Ms. Lang, if you're there.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you just state your name and address for the record and then go right ahead?
Yes, Patricia Lang, 27 DaCosta Drive, Newington, Connecticut.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This will be very short and sweet. I think John Trista would be an excellent replacement for Sharon Braverman. It is a big plus that he has children in our school system and understands the importance of education to our current students and those that have come out of the Newington school system. He has a vested interest in the town of Newington's success and would make an excellent counselor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue. I just found out today that another name has been thrown in, and surprisingly to me, I would actually like to back Carol Annis. First, actually, let me say thank you to Sharon for all she's done, and I wish her and her husband well and speedy recovery. But the reason I'm asking that you vote for Carol is because we're just coming into budget season. Her knowledge, her background is going to be oh so important in this very, very tight year. I'm not saying that John's heart isn't in the right place and he wouldn't do a good job. I'm just saying for the benefit of Newington, we would benefit from her knowledge and her past practices. And just, she's shown that she does put Newington above party. Sometimes she doesn't, and then we don't agree. But I think in this case, for these last few months, that Carol would really be a better choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Havens.
My name is Richard De Silva, 485 Connecticut Avenue. I'm also here to show my support for Carol Annis. I've known her for a while now, and from talking to her, she's been involved in the politics of the town for a very long time. She's a long-standing resident. And at every event that I've been to here in Newington, when I volunteer, she's freely giving her time to this town. No matter what it is, even if it's an hour, she comes in and gives some of her time to help us out. Her and Diana, you always see the two of them at any event that you go to. They're always together doing something for free so that the town can spend less money. No offense to John Trista, but I haven't really seen him giving any time to the town for free the way Carol does. She obviously has a lot of interest in this town doing well and succeeding, and that is the type of person that we should have on the town council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Silva.
Hi, Sean Holleran, 35 Florence Street. I just want to thank everybody who showed up tonight. It's a big attendance, and everybody who's volunteering tonight to make sure that the future of our town is going in the direction that we want it to go in. I'm here to speak for my support of John Trister. John has been in my purview since about September. I'm fairly new to politics, but I don't come prepared. The only thing I come armed with is honesty and sincerity. And John has proven at every point to be somebody who is dedicated to the future of this town, the future of our children, and the future of what we want to get done, and to be proud of where we are. I have had extensive experience working with John, and I can say he has put in a lot of time to this town. Regardless of party, John is somebody who is passionate about where we're going and how we get there. And I think more importantly, he's somebody who can work with people, regardless of ideology, to get things done. He is at most a good listener, and at least somebody who can offer a perspective that may not be in the majority. I think John has the best interest of our children. I think John has the best interest of our town. And I think John has the best interest of everybody in this room trying to move forward in a way that is unified and for the greater good of everything that we're trying to work for here. So my support is for John. And I cannot more emphatically say that he deserves to be a member of this council. Thank you.
Thank you. Online, so anybody else that would like to come up may?
Thank you. Anastasia Yap, 138 8th Street, Newington. I'm here to say thank you to Sharon for, all her time and everything she's done for the town of Newington. I've been here a little over 3 years now, and she's always gone above and beyond to help me and others. So thank you for that. I'm here to say, thank you to both of the nominees, John Trister as well as Carol Ennis. I've gotten to know Carol Ennis in the past 3 years, and regardless of political affiliation, she's always gone above and beyond. As previously stated, every single event I've been to, she's always there. She's always willing to volunteer. As you guys know, I ran for state rep. She's there to help. She's always there to give a helping hand, and we're not even on the same party. I think she has the knowledge and the background to do what it takes to serve on the town council. I am currently the chairman of finance and budget season is going to be pretty tough. And I do feel that Carol has the knowledge and background, to get us through this tough budget season. So I want to say thank you, and I look forward to hopefully having Carol. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to come forward?
Hi, I'm here. My name is Joanna Sistoli, and I live at 82 Michael Lane. I'm here to show my support for the I don't like public speaking either.
That's okay. We understand.
I'm here to show my support for the Newington Veterans Firefighter Association, and am in favor of the dedication of part of the street that runs in front of Company 5, where the veterans, where it's their firehouse, also the cadets firehouse. If it wasn't for the veteran firefighters, the fire department wouldn't be what it is today. And I think the least you could do is, dedicate part of the street for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a couple hands up online. We'll take one online and then we'll go back to the room. We have Stein Ramstead is what the caller ID says. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Stein Ramstad. I'm at 555 Main Street in Newington. And I wanted to speak, in favor of John Trister, but more so as has been stated previously, also in favor of the process and making sure that we continue to do this in a transparent and straightforward way, as has been done in the past, as has been tradition, and as has been an agreement between the parties. As was stated before, I think it will have quite severe repercussions for the entire, for the political climate and for the future sort of work of the council and of other political bodies in the town if we were to break this this tradition and agreement that has been in place, that the party, if a member of a public body has to step down for whatever reason, that member can rest assured that there will be a clean and thorough process to find their replacement. I think it'll be untenable if I were to serve on the council someday, for instance, and I had health problems or other commitments that made it impossible for me to continue. If I then had to try to hang on until my party got the majority, in order for me to know that there would be a straightforward process to name my replacement, that would be untenable. And that's people don't always have that luxury of trying to hang on to such a seat until their party controls the majority. So so I'm just speaking in favor of a clean and thorough process, and therefore in favor of John Trist. Thank you.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Del Buono and Town Council. Richard William Leverrier, 3 Winterberry Court. I do want to say that the appointment of the replacement councilor member, this process is certainly unusual, and I am confident that you all will give great thought as to the appropriate process for the replacement. That being said, I have known Carol Annis for 18 years. She has been a strong volunteer and leader in our community, working for the town, volunteering for the town, fundraising money for extravaganza, being a member of this council. And she's very involved with has been for many years, involved with the Newington Democratic Party, including being their chairperson at one point in time. I do believe that the most appropriate replacement is certainly Carol Annis. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Welcome.
Hello, Marissa Lindsay, 25 Longview Drive. Thank you, everybody. I'm here to speak for Carol Annis. I've known her for a few decades now. I don't want to say how long because then I'll say my age. But Carol, I think, would be the best for this spot because she's been in this town. She's worked for this town. She's freely worked for this town. She raised her child here. She knows if she doesn't have a child now, doesn't mean she doesn't know children. So she will be able to find the feedback that she needs for our town. She also is very good about her volunteer work for the town. She knows how to help the town get things, and she's very good with her resources. She knows she's been a majority leader, she's been a town council, and she knows what she's doing. I think she would be the best bet for us. And I know that you guys will make the right decision because I know you guys know what the right decision is. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank Sharon Braverman for all her work, and I want to thank all of you guys for all your stuff. And just again, please vote for our Volunteer of the Year, Carol Ansett. I think that was the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Anyone else that would like to come up? James, can you make me a co-host? I'm in now. Thank you. Good thing we didn't wait for my computer, huh? Welcome.
Good morning, Mayor and councilors. My name is Diana Sarah, 237 Reservoir Road. I am here in favor of the appointment for the replacement of Sharon Braverman for Carol Annis. First, I want to thank Cheryl for her many years of service, not just to the town council, but to the Board of Ed and volunteering in this town. Sharon has been an asset for this community all of her life. I wish her and Hy the best in a speedy recovery. But moving on to the appointment, right now, going into budget season, the best person for this job would be Carol. She's been a volunteer in politics in this town for over 20 years, from a town chair to running for council to even running for state rep, even though she didn't win, she was there. Carol puts her heart and soul in everything she does. She works across party lines to do what's right for the residents of this town, whether they're Republican, Democrats, independent, youth. She works for the people, not herself. She doesn't have personal agendas. And I've served with her myself for 4 years. She's been a majority leader and a minority leader. And when she wants to get something going, she'll go out there and do it. She finds the resources. She volunteers in this town. I know because I volunteer with her on everything. But that's what we do. We volunteer. And she's given her life. She's lived in this town all her life. She raised her child here. Her parents are still here. God bless them at their age too. But she would be the best person for this situation right now, especially going into budget season. She's worked with all the department heads here. She knows everybody, and she knows how to work with unions on contracts and everything else. And she's able to work with the Board of Ed. So I would please put my hat in for her. I hope you would consider voting for Carol Annis as the replacement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. There are no hands up online, so anyone else in the room that would like to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Emily Boucher. I'm at 255 Church Street. First of all, thank you all for your time and your dedication to our community. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of John Trister's appointment to the Town Council. I've been in Newington for a little over 3 years, and I've gotten to know John as someone who doesn't only have passion for our community, but I think is very knowledgeable about our community as well, and has a lot to bring to the table, and I think would make a phenomenal town councilor. In addition, I think the process is really important. A lot of people have lost faith in government. You've all knocked on a lot of doors. I'm sure you've talked to people who have expressed disappointment with what we see down in Washington, but I'd like to think that doesn't happen here in Newington. I think we need to maintain a clear and transparent process and make sure people have faith in that process, not only now, but going forward into the future. So would really love to see John Trister's appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boucher. Anyone else?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilors, town manager, interim tight, town attorney, residents of Newington. Name is Michael J. Fox, 1901 Main Street. First, I want to thank Dr. Sharon Braverman for all the work she has done for this town as a Board of Education member for quite a number of years, and as a town councilor for quite a few terms. Without people like Sharon and new people, Newington wouldn't be what it is, and always will be. I would like to say something about her replacement. There's been a few comments about the process, and there is a process. And those of you in front of me and behind me, most of you know that I've been involved in that process for something like 30 years. You know, I've nominated candidates as member of a nominating committee. I've advised, I've kind of got people started. But every once in a while, the process breaks down. Right now, as Anna just said, we're coming into budget season. You're going to set the budget hearings tonight. And without Sharon, unfortunately, on the Democratic side here, we have two I'll call you relative rookies, okay? You're still getting your feet wet. I'm not saying whether you've been good or bad. I haven't followed it that much. I think most of you know why. But I think as far as, young blood, we've been talking about young blood, getting new people to volunteer. But there comes a time every once in a while when the young blood kind of has to wait. Now, I think you know where I'm going with this. I was going to do one of those things where I say, this person has, Carol has been, was brought up on Coolidge Street, I believe it was. She lives on Harding Street. She just about single-handedly brought up a young man in that house on Harding Avenue who is now actually in the middle of getting his doctorate. And all this time while she was bringing up Nick, she was involved in the town of Newington. You never, saying like, I'm Carol Aniston, I'm the whatever. Everything she did was for the town of Newington and for her family. And so she has served. Looks like I'm out of time. At any rate, what I want to say is Carol is born and bred in Newington, has served Newington, and it would take me another 3 minutes to let you know where she served. She served right over there, well, not over here, but across the street. She served on the TPZ. I served with her. She was a vice chair on the TPZ, town chair. She right now is serving on NEMS with the other Bobsey twin back there.
I do have to ask you to wrap up just because I did say we were trying to stick to that 3 minutes.
Anyway, I can name a whole flurry of reasons why you should appoint Carol Annis. I think you got the gist. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your service.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other hands up online. Anyone else? Welcome, Representative Turco.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, councilors. Gary Turco, 98 Williamstown Court. First, like to echo what many have said about Sharon Braverman. Sharon has been a dear friend for many years now, a mentor to me, so helpful in every aspect with education issues, town issues, especially from her role at Central as well. I'd like to discuss Sharon's replacement tonight. And first just say a couple words about John Trister, who has become a friend as I've gotten to know him, as he's become more and more involved in Newington, volunteering, trying to help make our community a better place. He's a good person, ethical person, hardworking person. No, he is not going to agree with the majority of you all on every issue. But he is going to bring a lot to the debate. Things to think about, ways of doing things differently. And our community could always use those new ideas. He's completing a master's program right now at UConn, doing an internship at the Department of Insurance. He brings something to this council that was mentioned by previous people that I'm not sure anyone else does, is some youth, a young parent with children in middle school, which is nice to get that perspective. So that's a little on John, and I hope you'll all get an opportunity to work with him and get to know him and see how he can bring value to this council. But then also, as mentioned tonight, was the process. We do have a tradition here in this town, and the state of Connecticut has a very, very strong tradition of minority representation. Right now, the Republicans have the majority. At some point in Newington's future, who knows how long that might be, but the Democrats may have the majority, right? And there could be a very similar situation. And I would hope that that Democratic majority, and I would stand here saying to them, if they weren't going to consider it, would respect the minority representation we have in this town and the decision of the Republican Town Committee if they wanted a certain individual to be a replacement. So I'm asking all of you tonight in the decision, and this is nothing against the other individual who would like to be in this position. Carol has done a great job as a town councilor and serving the community in so many ways. But this is that the Democratic Town Committee has asked for John Trister to be its replacement. That's who the town committee believes gives this council the minority representation that Newington deserves, this council deserves, and respects our process. So I know it's a tough decision you have. You have two great people, but please keep that process tradition in mind and the future of our towns and the thought that when roles are reversed, the Democratic Party will respect the decisions at that time in the future too. So thank you very much. Have a good night.
So no hands up online. Anybody else that would like to come up? Going once. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, so my name is Greg Ostrinsky. I'm at 267 Audubon Avenue. My wife and I just moved to Newington in November of 2021, so we're brand new residents. And I've been looking forward to getting involved in the town and all that stuff. And there's always something in the way. I was looking forward to running the library fun run or the 5K, and then of course we both got COVID. So. But finally, an opportunity came up when John Trister actually knocked on my door. And so got to know John Trister, and from that point forward, I've gotten more involved in the town, and I'm looking forward to spending more time here. And I think that getting to know John Trister, would be a great representative for the town and great town councilor. And yeah.
Thank you. Check one more time. Don't have any hands up and online? Anyone else in the room that would like to come up? If not, we're going to move into our agenda. Okay. The next item this evening is, there is email correspondence. Counselor Mankey, do you want to?
Yeah, I guess report that usually our rules of procedure are that you have to receive it before the day before, but in this circumstance, I will report that 3 letters were received. One from Alan Cindy Napis, one from Cindy Stam, and one from Pauline Crook, all in support of John Trister.
Thank you.
And they should be in your packets, I believe, at this point. You should have received them.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone receive anything else that the rest of us didn't get? No? Okay, we'll continue on to remarks by counselors on public participation. Counselor Page.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's great to see so many people in our council chambers. And I also want to thank Sharon Braverman for all of her service, and hopefully we'll do that in a more formal way at some point, recognizing her, and Hyde, who's a wonderful guy and has done so much for us as well. I guess I'm most disturbed by what appears to me to be the false premise of this debate tonight. And that is that there is a process and there is a tradition that's well established in our charter and then has been enacted by both parties for years and years and years. And I know Town Attorney Ancona at some point, because he sent it to us, will present on his legal opinion on the right of the majority to possibly move forward with an individual who in fact isn't a nominee tonight. There are not 2 nominees for this vacant seat. There's one. And there's one because there's a process. And just as others have mentioned, if the roles were reversed, I guarantee you, we would respect you and your party to name your person to fill the seat. And we would ask the same from you tonight. This is going to divide our town if you move forward with naming someone other than the Democratic Town Committee's person. And so to debate character, I can see debating character of any person wanting to come forward and sit in the seat. This is a big honor and responsibility. If the person had any significant character issues, but that is not what we're debating tonight. We have 2 people, Carol Annis, who I don't know real well. I've been fortunate enough to get to know her working around town, and she has more hours working in this town in her pinky than I do. And I respect that enormously. That, though, is not the point of tonight. And to suggest otherwise or to distract from what I believe is the real issue is dishonest of all of us. And it's shameful. And this is a black mark on our town tonight if we move forward with any process other than having the Democratic Town Committee's nominee be honored. We're in the middle of looking for a town manager. And that is that we agreed in our meetings that we would have as smooth a transition to our town manager, whoever that may be. This is not a smooth transition. This is a disgrace and an embarrassment. And I feel very bad to be part of this process. It is shameful. And I am beyond angry, and I'm doing my best to be professional tonight. And I will continue to do that. I'm going to stop right now, or I'm going to say something I'm going to regret. And I will come back to this later. Thank you.
Councilor Rada.
Yes, I echo much of what Councilor Page has said. What I would like to speak to again also is the process. I don't want to speak about person. I know John, I've worked with him, I've campaigned with him, we've knocked lots of doors together. And I know his commitment to the community, his passion for service, his volunteerism. I do not know Carol very well at all. However, I do know how much time and effort over the years she has put into Newington and continues and probably will continue to do that. I'm focusing on the process. There is and has been a procedure, policy, and a precedent over the years when positions have needed to be filled, unexpired terms. Albeit vague in our charter, there are also Connecticut general statutes as well that we need to focus on. There was a process, there was an open call for anyone who was interested in coming before the Newington DTC to put their names in and be interviewed and considered as a possible candidate for approval to fill Sharon Braverman's unexpired seat. That process went on for several weeks, actually more than several weeks, probably over a month. And we are at that point now where tonight we have two resolutions in front of us. One to accept Dr. Braverman's resignation and to vote on the appointment of a replacement. The only name on that resolution at this point is John Trister. We've got a false dichotomy here. It's not an either or tonight. And this is what I think people need to understand and consider. We will consider it, and I'm sure we will consider it very well and for a long period of time, and I'm sure there's going to be some conversation. My concern is that we don't accept and adhere to our precedent and our policies and our procedures, which will be to our failing. So I'm calling on my colleagues here around the table to consider this. And I also want to thank all of you who have come forward and expressed your opinion. I haven't seen this room this full in a very long time, and I'm thrilled. Because regardless of whether we agree, disagree, or agree to disagree, coming forward and using our voices, as John and Carol and all of us do and have done, is such an important aspect of our political system. Before I finish, I just want to acknowledge Dr. Sharon Braverman and her husband, Hy. Hy has served on many commissions. Sharon has served for years on the Board of Ed and also to my left as a counselor. When I first came on, as I was campaigning She extended her hand to me, not only in friendship, but advice and as a colleague, and I appreciated that. And I wish them both well. I was sorry to see her resign, but I understand her reasoning, and I think as we accept that, we wish them well as they move forward in the next several months and the next several years. Any other comments that I have will be made at the time that we address this at our agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Camilla, you're next, but would you yield to me for just a brief moment? Thank you. I'm processing what's going on this evening, and I want to make sure that the members of the public that are watching at least have kind of a background of information for why there's such a discussion this evening. Clearly, everyone that came in the room in some way, shape, or form was contacted by somebody or made aware of what's going on. But I want to make sure the members of the public understand at least why we're even having these discussions. We have before us this evening a resignation from Councilor Braverman that would create a vacancy on this council. And as such, it is incumbent upon this council to make an appointment to fill that vacancy. And so the Democratic Town Committee brought forward their nomination for consideration, Mr. Trister. And then recently a letter was sent from a member of the public, Carol Annis, to the town manager. And she asked that she be considered in filling that vacancy. So I just want to make sure people understand at least where the discussion is coming from this evening, because it's not something we've ever faced before. And it's not in our packet because it has kind of evolved over the last several days. So I just wanted to at least kind of state for the record kind of what's going on and why there is this debate over two names that you keep hearing. And after that, I'll yield. And Mr. Camilla, your hand is up.
Okay. Sharon Braverman for years. And I knew Mike and Carol 30 years ago. I mean, a lot has changed in this town, and a lot has changed in our whole world. Traditions seem to be put to the wayside every day, and people forget about, hey, this is what we did 20 years ago, or this is what we're doing today. And then in Hartford Current, Governor Lamont hired a Republican for Commissioner of Revenue, and then he hired the independent party that ran against him for governor. And when he was asked why he did this, he says it was the best for the state of Connecticut. And that's what we're hearing tonight too. The best for Newington.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Mankey.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out and speaking. I know as one speaker said, it's public speaking is in everybody's forte. It's not easy. I appreciate everybody for coming out. I think we shouldn't lose sight of this discussion though, the Sharon's service. She served, I mean, she was on this council, it seemed like forever since we formed Newington apparently. And she's going to be missed. The breadth of knowledge, the compassion, her understanding of the process and the systems and the way things work was tremendous. And I both wish her and her husband well. I wish we weren't even discussing this today. I wish she was still sitting at the table there, or whether on Zoom. I don't know if they were here, wherever she was on Zoom. But I do want to make sure we appreciate her service and her efforts. And I'm sure at some point she'll get a chair like everybody gets when they retire from the council. And I hope she gets to rock in her chair for many long years.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Did you take your hand down? I did. Okay. All right. I just would say that I'm going to reserve my comments in terms of the process until we have an opportunity as a council to discuss what's before us, and that decision will be made later on the agenda. As for public participation comments on that, I would just say that I do appreciate the level of interaction and participation this evening. We don't always hear from the public on many issues, so I'm very pleased to say, honestly, it hit me this at the beginning of the meeting when we did the Pledge of Allegiance and everyone in here, and there was that volume to it and that presence. And I really appreciate the presence in the room this evening and appreciate everyone's opinions. There's clearly some varying opinions in the room, and we will discuss it later on, but I do appreciate hearing from each and every one of you this evening. And I can assure you that we will discuss and do our very best to make the best decision that we can. Thank you. Oh, I do, thank you, Counselor Menke. We did have, at our last meeting, a couple members of the public had indicated they were concerned about the traffic lights on the Berlin Turnpike, so I'm gonna give an update. We got an email today.
My report, but
Stealing your thunder. Rob Hillman, our superintendent of highways, had a meeting with DOT today about something else, posed the question about the lights on the turnpike. Evidently, and it's true, that they're kind of offset in the lanes. They're not in the center of the lanes as they traditionally have been. And so residents have complained about that. What the DOT has indicated is that that is a new design that they are trying out. And it is designed so that people that are further back in traffic would still be able to see the light if there were a large vehicle in front of them, like a tractor trailer or something. So that's the thought process behind it. He did indicate that the state is rethinking that and determining whether they're going to keep them that way staggered or if they're going to go back to a more traditional center of the lane kind of idea. So I will keep you posted as we hear more, but I wanted to at least let you know we checked on it and that's the information we got. So that was last week. Okay. All right, we'll continue on with our agenda then. We are going to move into consideration of old business, and we have first this evening, the 2023 annual regular meeting calendar revised. So we did discuss this at our last meeting, and someone mentioned that there was a conflict on April 6th, I think it was.
Correct.
So James, do you want to update kind of what you guys did with that calendar? You adjusted it?
Sure. With the change in the date from, I believe it was Passover, that was our issue. So the start of it is actually the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So the 5th, 6th, and 7th, which would have affected our 6th date. So moving the date of the regular meeting, which we're going to call this one now because we are scheduling it under our regular schedule, will be April 4th, which will be a first Tuesday, which is different than our normal calendar. So that will allow us under the next item, which is our budget scheduling, to allow us to meet our requirement to adopt the budget within 20 days after the second public hearing, which will be April the 18th. So we'll keep everything in line and we will keep most of our budget discussion in our regular meetings as well. The only one I believe that will be outside of that will be our Saturday meeting that we took up about 3 years ago.
Okay. I'm looking at the school vacation week because I can't remember when it is. I know we usually try to avoid it.
That's the week of the 10th.
It's the 10th. So it's the 8th. Yeah, the 10th through the 14th would be the school vacation. So we would be.
And the 11th would have been our regular meeting.
Okay. Counselor Menke?
So April 18th is then our special meeting?
April 18th will be a special meeting for adoption of the budget, correct? For the next item as well. That's okay, spoilers.
We're taking all your thunder today, Jim.
I know.
Any other council comment or question? We need the motion read in. Who would like to do that? Counselor Donahue?
Newington Town Council, in compliance with the Federal Freedom of Information Act, hereby approves a revised 2023 Town Council regular meeting schedule as attached to this resolution.
Second.
Any further discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, next item this evening is Town Council Budget Meeting Schedule 2023, which I know, James, you already alluded to.
Alluded to that slightly, yes. And actually, I'm noticing in my memorandum, the April 6th date is still listed in there, but thankfully it is corrected on the schedule itself. So on the memo, it should have said April the 4th.
Yes.
So you can see on our 5th meeting, budget schedule. So we have the March 14th, that's Saturday, March 25th, Tuesday, March 28th. So those first and third meetings are regular scheduled meetings, the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. The April 4th will now be a regular meeting outside of our normal schedules, which is why it's notated on the schedule we just passed. And then April 18th will be our special meeting for adoption of the budget itself. I will notate that there was a conflict for the superintendent She's usually on the March 28th meeting. She would have been scheduled. We've actually moved her at her request to the March 14th. So that will be a little bit longer meeting. We'll try to have it light on items, but she'll be presenting her budget to the council that evening, as well as my proposed budget prior to that meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Council comment or question? Who would like to go ahead and read that in for us?
I'll read it in.
Thank you, Councilor Rada.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council pursuant to Section 805 of the Newington Town Charter will hold 2 public hearings on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. These public hearings will be held at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall unless otherwise indicated as follows. Tuesday, March 14th, 2023, Town Manager's proposed budget. Tuesday, April 4th, 2023, Town Council's proposed budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Donahue. Any further discussion or questions, councilors? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Mid-year transfers. We did get a brief presentation last time. I'm assuming Janet's on the line. All right, Janet, do you want to just quickly review this for the public that's watching?
Sure. So last meeting, we sat back and we went through all of the general fund transfers, which is the first resolution, which are the expense lines that we're looking to get transfers for out of our contingency to cover some overages. The second resolution is a CIP transfer for the Parks and Grounds. They have some funds left in some of their CIP accounts that they'd like transferred over to get a line painting machine, an automated one. And the last resolution, the transfer question, is the transfer of bond premium for interest payments. We've done this the last 2 or 3 years since we went out to bonding for the new town hall. And that basically is transferring over the premium that we got when we went out to bond to cover some of the interest payments for next year. This is the last of the bond premium that we will have. We will be going out for bonding again in the spring, and we may get more premium, but I can't guarantee it.
Thank you. Any questions, councilors? Councilor Mankey?
Can you just explain what a bond premium is, just so we're all clear?
So when you sell the bond, you not only get the amount of the bond, but to give them the interest rate to offset an interest rate that you might give them, they will give you premium. So we get additional cash on top of that at that present value at that time that you can use in the future to pay future interest expense on the bond. So it gives you, they're giving you cash in the beginning so they can get a higher interest rate later on, because there's different, each year the bond has a different interest rate involved with it. So
Okay,
it kind of balances out to give an overall interest rate.
All set?
You know, it's confusing. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're doing it, Janet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Janet, these are 3 separate motions that we need to take action on, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Who would like to read the first one in? Deputy Mayor Pedrego?
Do I read the certification as
Yes.
well? Certification. In accordance with section 808 of the town charter, I hereby certify that there exists, free from encumbrances, in the following appropriations and general fund, the amounts listed below. Account 960, title contingency, amount $66,720, prepared by Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds to the following accounts in the general fund. Account 110, Town Council, $4,660. Account 160, Town Attorney, $20,000. Account 180, Personnel, $16,810. Account 510, Health Services, $5,250. Account 830, Parks and Grounds, $20,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Camillo. Any further questions, comments, councilors? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Deputy Mayor, would you like to do the second and third?
Certification. In accordance with section 808 of the town charter, I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriations in the capital improvement fund, the amounts listed below. Account 300-831-88238, Clem Lemire Lighting, $32,788.76. Account 30831-88337, Beechwood Park, $12,211.24, prepared Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds in the Capital Improvement Fund to the following accounts in the Technology Fund and Capital Improvement Fund. Account 30831, line painting machine, amount $45,000.
Second.
Second by Counselor Camillo. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 7-0. I forgot, I'm supposed to say 7-0. Counselor Nagel absent. Counselor Braverman technically absent as well.
Actually,
No,
Counselor
her-
Braverman's resignation was as of January 17th. It is a
So
vacancy.
even though we haven't taken action on it, okay.
Certification. In accordance with section 808 of the town charter, I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriations in the CIP building fund, the amounts listed below. Account 31110-8550, transfer to the general fund, $55,061. Prepared Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds in the CIP building fund to the following account. Account number 11014-8220, interest expense, amount $55,000 and $55,061.
Second by Counselor Camillo. Discussion or questions, counselors? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Bill absent.
Counselor Nagel absent. All right. Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, next item this evening is the 2023 Neglected Cemetery Account Grant Program. We do not like the name of this grant. As
Welcome
it
to the
implies
state.
that a cemetery is neglected. That is not the case, but it is funds that are available in the form of a grant that we will be applying for, or hoping to if this passes.
Correct. So the Parks Department, through their staff, was able to gather up the necessary information for the grant package itself. You'll see that as part of the prepared application that was included with your packet. If this does pass this evening, we will be able to supply it to them by February the 8th, which is the due date of the grant itself. Based upon their review of it, we should hear back by March 8th if we have received it. So they could actually probably even get started this spring with renovations and repairs to headstones that they're looking to do at the cemetery itself.
Who would like to go ahead and read this in for us? Councilman Magee, do you want to?
I can do it, sure.
Thank you.
Resolved, Newington Town Council hereby approves the foregoing resolution for the 2023 Neglected Cemetery Account Grant Program.
Out there. There's a double that when you hit the paragraph.
Oh, sorry about that. That James Krapinski, acting town manager, or his designee, is hereby authorized to enter into and execute any and all agreements, contracts, and documents necessary to obtain a 2023 Neglected Cemetery Account Grant from the state of Connecticut, Office of Policy and Management for the town of Newington. A copy of the grant application shall be attached to this resolution.
Second by Counselor Camillo. All right, any discussion? Counselor Magee, your hand is up.
Yeah, just a quick question. The amount of the grant was, I recall, $5,000? And the purpose, it's going to be used to repair some headstones in the older cemetery in town, the center cemetery?
Correct. Actually, I don't believe they were using it for Center Cemetery. If I remember correct, they were looking at the Church Street
Church Street,
Cemetery
okay.
for this one. Just a moment here.
It's Center Cemetery.
They've got so many points in this thing that they fill in.
I think it's in the introduction.
It says specifically to Center Cemetery.
Does it?
As for
Okay.
critical areas of restoration which are desperately needed, the grant seeks to address the fourth and most critical category of need. The cemetery's fence lines are long due for clearing of overgrowth and removal of small trees growing through the fence lines and boundaries. This unkempt growth not only disrupts the aesthetic qualities of the fence work, but also slowly undermines its structural integrity. It goes on with a few more points, but I won't read it all, counselors, but it's right there in the intro.
And I just assume staff, when they filled the grant, this was the most pressing need.
That's what they determined. And I believe in this the center cemetery, they had already done some stonework, so I believe this is just addition to that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Bedrejko?
I just want to make a comment. This past year, the Center Congregational Church did a wonderful presentation in honor of their anniversary. And there was a walkthrough of the cemetery, and the condition of some of the stones were like deplorable. And I know it's going to take a lot more than $5,000.
Center.
Yeah, to be able to fix the cemetery, but this is a good start. But I mean, the history there is just absolutely incredible. I mean, there are people buried there that are so important to this town, in terms of, the individual themselves, but also the cultural era that they represented. So I would hope that this is just a start of something that's going to become much bigger and could become actually a nice historic walk in the future.
Any luck, this will continue. It has been on hold from the state for the last 2 years. So the ability to reapply for it is a benefit for us. And if it does come up again, we've got our grant writer still on board. We just re-executed their contract, so hopefully they'll be able to renew each year.
Councilor Rada?
Yeah, just a point of information. Is there any talk or any consideration to moving forward, looking for grant funding to work on the Church Street Cemetery?
I can't say whether or not they have begun any of that work, but I can touch base with the superintendent and our grant writer. They may be looking at that now that we're starting to see some funding come in. Effectively, they do still have some in the perpetual fund itself to be able to do maintenance on the cemetery. So that's something we're going to be discussing with them as well.
Thank you. All right. Any other council comment or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item this evening is update of ARPA funds use. We had asked for an update because we have some funds that we need to expend. There are deadlines to those funds. They must be allocated by 2024 and then expended by 2026. So we just wanted to get an update on kind of what we've allocated and what we have left or what we're thinking of. So Town Manager Kropinski, if you would.
Really tiny document, so give me just a second there. Miss Murphy is available as well.
Welcome back, Miss Murphy.
Hi, yep. So as James is getting this a little bit bigger for you to see, this list, I know when Mr. Chapman was here, I gave a updated list, wasn't presented to you guys, but I know I did an updated list from October of this past fall. You'll notice not much has been changed on this list besides some of the things that had been just encumbered or planned. Some of it's been spent. The first item you see there is a small business assistant grant. We had originally had out there 500,000 of that money that we had originally assigned. We spent 401,371.91. We went out twice between using the chamber, rare reminder on our website. I know that the councilman put it out there on their social media. This past time we had, I believe, 16 businesses that we were able, and nonprofits that we were able to give some out. So that was a result of 2 sessions and 2 application periods, one in the spring of last year and one in the fall of last year. The other items really haven't changed. They're all kind of the same. You've got the wages for the first responders we did last year, the downtown concert series that we've been doing for the last couple summers, the AEDs for PD, fire, and EMS. We've received those and paid for them. Some miscellaneous signages and some water fountains. They were all hands-free now. The human service assistance, this is included giving rent assistance, fuel assistance to some of the people that come into our human services area. Part of the grant writer that helped us with some ideas, we paid part of their contract through here. The Munis employee self-serve, we're still in the process of getting that up and running. That's going to be a service where we will no longer be printing. I know most companies and most businesses, you don't print out your direct deposits, you don't print out your W-2s. It's a portal that will be available for the employees, for them to go in and view and print all their documents as they need them, and to also be able to make changes. We're also going to be automating the request for time off, so it's no more paper shuffled around. It's all going to be automated. We're hoping to have that in place and done by the end of February. The next one is a police reimbursement. This is an area I talked to you about. When we hire experienced officers, we have to pay back the towns for their training and basically half their wages while they were there if they have not been with that company, that police force for over 2 years. I believe it's 2 years. So during the time when we were trying to get our public safety back up and running, we did have, this is results of actually hiring 4 experienced police officers. One was from Yukon, one was from West Haven, and there were 2 from Hartford. The next one is the human services area. They had to get some HVAC work done there. That work is completed. The boom mower, which is the mower that we are sharing with Rocky Hill, we purchased that. That's half the price for that. The COT system, that's James' project. That's half, I believe half is done, James. I don't know where you are in the process of that project of scanning the land records.
If they weren't shut down, they'll probably be moving along, but they had a cyber impact. But we, in office, we are already more than over halfway done with the project scanning to supply to the vendor.
Yeah. The next item is the police license plate readers. I know they're trying to work to get that completed. That's a large portion of that has been paid for. Fire department training and miscellaneous expenses that they went through during COVID is included there. The EMS ambulances, we have made the down payment for that. It's still going to be a long time till we actually see them delivered, I think, but we're going forward to that. The Great Blue Research, the citizen survey, you'll notice that some of it's encumbered. That's the down payment we had made for that. And right now, the EOC storage area that was in the PD, we have to finish up that area. And that's the architecture drawings and the estimates for that. You will see that's what we paid to date. Under the next part where you see year-to-date encumbrances, these are the open items, a lot of which we were just discussing, the EOC area and the PD, the EOS, that's storage construction, the ambulances, the other half of the COT system, the remaining balance for the HVAC in the human services, that might be able to close and that will free up those funds. I've got to check with facilities. The Munis employee self-serve, drainage work design. So before Gary left as our engineer, he had hired out some engineers to start design work on some drainage work that had been approved by the council in May. So that's a start in the right direction. The remaining of the Great Blue Research survey, the other half of it, and the remainder to pay for the license plate readers. And the last category you'll see down here is what has been approved by council. And that would be the town fiber optics and broadband for 1.5 million, the Pheasant Run drainage, the Fisk-Gilbert drainage, the Brookside Avenue drainage, and all three of those projects where you saw the encumbered amount above, that has had design work started on them. And the last item we got approved was CCTV inspection equipment. I know the last time that we presented any projects to you and that you approved, it was in May of last year. We were waiting to see Great Blue Research, see what kind of citizen survey responses we had before we'd gone any farther in committing any of these funds. So right now, we've received both the payments from the state, the full amount for the ARPA money, and the balance after everything we've already paid, what we have encumbered, and the approved projects is $4,171,445.57.
Okay, thank you. Just speak a little bit. I know ARPA fund money was extremely limited in what we could use it for in the beginning, and it seems like they've loosened up a bit on that. Can you just speak a little?
What ended up happening is there was very limited what you could say you wanted to use this for when it first came out. I think they found that that was kind of tying a lot of towns' hands on what they could do. So last spring, right before we did our first reporting on this, they kind of opened the floodgates. So any town, which ours is being one of it, who received less than 10 million in ARPA funds could count all of those funds as lost revenue without having to do any calculations or having to prove you lost funds. You could classify that as lost revenue by the town due to COVID and be able to use that for any normal town-wide purpose, be it CIP, being operational. You can't, the only restrictions they specifically put is you can't use this to balance your budget to reduce a mill rate. So you can't directly say, I'm going to use this ARPA funds as part of my budgeting tool. And you cannot use it to fund your pension accounts. So those are just absolutely two no-nos they don't like to do, but otherwise, any other operational or CIP expense that the town would have incurred, you can use these for.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilor Page?
Thank you, Mayor. Just two questions, Janet. Could you just comment on the Munis employee self-service? Is that 48.5 for software? Is it staffing? Is it something else, hardware?
It's for the software, the training, and the module we had to purchase. So we had the module, but you had to get extra licenses, you had to do the training for it, and they had to add certain portions to get it to work, like the ability to scan. So it's all software and training. There is no actual equipment in that number. And that will also include, once we have it all done and finished, a recruiting portion of it. So also HR. So this employee self-serve will be from the day of the time you apply for a job with the town, onboarding, right up to when you get paid and you're an actual employee.
Okay, thank you.
It's going to be all hands-free.
Thank you. And just one other question regarding the license plate readers for 165, 2 or 3. How many readers is that?
I cannot even remember, to be honest with you.
If I remember speaking with Mr. Charlo, I believe it was 8 readers throughout town.
Yeah, I want to say it was 7 or 8, primarily on our boundaries with some other towns that we were coordinating with who had the same system.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, about 20 plus or minus a piece. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Mankey?
Can you just, Janet, speak to the EOC storage in PD and EOC storage construction?
So what ended up happening is when we basically lopped off the old building and brought it down and built a new town hall, that area upstairs where we used to have some of the storage of EOC items wasn't finished. It's all kind of just open space. So the plan is to try to finish that area off for EOC storage, and also looking to put a data closet up there to finish that area. But this portion was originally to finish off the area, the walls, the floors, and everything like that, because it's just kind of bare. We literally just cut off the building and left it kind of open.
Okay, and just EOC stands for Emergency Operations Center?
Correct.
Thank you.
So those are some of the materials we had in town hall that we were storing up there. Right now, they're kind of spread out.
Thank you.
Okay, any other council comment, question? No, all right, thank you, Ms. Murphy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too, sorry.
I was distracted by the hands on the screen, okay. Next item is, we're moving into resignations and appointments. So we have before us this evening, first is the resignation of Sharon R. Braverman from the Newington Town Council. Counselor Page?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Sharon R. Braverman as a member of the Newington Town Council in accordance with a communication dated January 17, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Ratter. Any discussion? Counselor Camilla? No? Deputy Mayor Badrego?
I very regrettably are gonna have, we'll be voting for this, this resolution of Dr. Braverman, Sharon, from her council seat. She's served the town, admirably in both the Board of Ed and the council. What she's done though, she has a soft voice and a very calming demeanor. But she makes a big impact with her words and her actions. So what is it, walk softly and carry a big stick. She's worked cooperatively and respectfully with everyone, with all sides of, both sides of the party, those, independents, with all ages. So again, Sharon, I really wish I didn't have to vote on this. But I wish you all the best in the next chapter of your life if you're listening to this.
She's on. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Counselor Menke?
Yeah, I would just agree. I'll vote yes, only because it's the thing to do. I have come to appreciate her, and I've worked well with her in the past. I would just recommend that I know retiring councilmen, when you get off the council, they give you your choice of a chair, a rocking chair or a chair, or a straight chair. I just would recommend we do that sooner than wait till the end of this term, and we work on that and get that done. I know for Councilwoman Sierra and Annis, it took a while to get your chairs, and I would like to get these as soon as possible. So I think it'd be move us to sort of expedite this. So thank you.
Agreed. Counselor Page?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank Dr. Braverman, Sharon, for your wisdom in helping me as a rookie, and if I may say, Councilor Rada, as a rookie, Sharon was patient with us, and she's a very, very bright, capable woman, as all have remarked, and she's done so much for our town, so much as a university professor and a leader in so many ways, and a great mentor to us, and I'm forever grateful to Sharon and to Hai, who's a wonderful man, and it was fun to get to know him, and hopefully we'll continue hanging out with him when we can and enjoying our friendship. So thank you, both of you. God bless, and I look forward to a little more formal recognition of the Braverman family.
Thank you, Counselor Rada.
Yes, again, kind of echoing what I said earlier, that, from the time I decided to run for council, Sharon was right there, excuse me, offering support, offering her knowledge, her experience, which is a wealth, more than many of us ever have. She was able to utilize her connections with CCSU and our Board of Ed and school system to be able to offer opportunities for high school students. And she continued to have that interest and felt so strongly about maintaining or reconnecting the town and the university, even as we talked over the past year. So I will miss her as a counselor, but hope to continue to talk with her and with Hai and wish them all the best, and look forward to them coming back to the fold and being able to participate in a lot of the activities that we're all involved with.
Thank you. Other counselors? Counselor Camilla?
You gotta close this out first.
Yeah, Sharon and High, I was with High on zoning, and then I met Sharon here in Board of Ed a couple meetings also. Known them for years. Our family's been in town for 60 years, and they've been around for most of that. That they're good people. It's going to be a loss to the town, and I hope this was her choice.
Thank you. I'll just add my thoughts too. I have had the pleasure of working with Sharon for many years now. I won't count them all, but first knowing her in her role on the Board of Education. She, as you mentioned, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, always had that kind of soft, calming presence, but was such an incredibly intelligent, educated woman and valued education above all else, and was just such a strong advocate for education at all levels, and for the continuing, even for adults, learning. And when she was working at Central Connecticut State University, my daughter had attended there for a while, and Sharon was the first one to say, you know, are there any connections I can help you make with, like, you know, does she need any help meeting people on campus, or I can put her in touch with different groups or whatever. So she was just always the first to reach out and offer help. And, you know, you mentioned it too, Kim, was even at this table, her heart was always in education, even here. So anytime there was any issue that came up town-wide, she would always offer to foster some sort of a connection to the education system at whatever level. And she was just a master at that, and just the sweetest soul. And she, you know, I spoke with her recently, and she, you know, did say she'll be missing us tremendously, but hopes to be back in the fold soon if she can. And you know, I know on Veterans Days, I oftentimes sat with her and her husband, High, who was a veteran, and shared stories and talked about, you know, the old times. She just is an incredibly kind and caring woman, and would help just about anybody. And parties didn't matter to her. Across the aisle, across the nation, she would reach out and help whoever she could. So she'll be greatly missed, and I wish her all the best in her retirement. And I'm glad she gets to spend a little more time with High, because they are like two peas in a pod. So I wish them both the very, very best in her retirement. All right, folks, it is regrettable to have to vote yes for this one, but we do have the motion on the floor. It's been seconded. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Sharon. All right, we are moving on. Councilor Camilla, your hand is still up.
Next one.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is appoint a replacement. Councilor Camilla.
Resolved. The Newington Town Council, no, don't read that yet.
Go ahead.
Okay. Resolved, Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointment for Newington Town Council. Carol Annis, Harding Avenue, Party D, from 124 to 223, to 11/14 to 2023.
You're bringing a motion off the floor.
Right off the floor. Resignation of Sharon Braverman.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Before we begin discussion, I would ask for a second.
Second.
I can't get it to stay where it wants to stay.
Seconded by Councilor Donahue. I guess we'll open it for discussion.
I'm all over the place, James.
So we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have the resignation of Councilor Braverman. We have before us, there is a resolution in the packet, but Councilor Camilla just brought a resolution off the floor, so we will consider it before we move on. I guess this is the first time that I know of in history that this has happened, where there is a formal candidate brought forward from the town committee, and there was another candidate who asked to be considered for the position that is vacant. Actually, the town manager forwarded that letter from Ms. Annis to the entire council. I believe it was Saturday.
Monday afternoon at 2:45.
Geez, time flies. All right, it was Monday afternoon. So you did, when you forwarded it to us, ask for an attorney opinion as well.
Correct, I did. I don't know if Attorney Ancona would like to address it while he's here, or?
If there are questions, I mean, you have the opinion.
So much of the public debate this evening has been on precedent and the process involved in filling the appointment that was vacated by Ms. Braverman. And so I will, I guess, just say that from the perspective of how we are governed by our town charter. And we are sworn to uphold the town charter. So I will just read the section of the town charter that applies to the vacancies. So in our town charter, section C-204, vacancies and elective offices. It does apply to Board of Education, so I'll omit the pieces that are for Board of Education, just read the parts relative to council, just to start the discussion. Vacancies in elective offices from whatever cause arising shall be filled by the council for the period until the end of the vacated term. In filling any vacancy, the council shall select a person of the same political party as that of the former incumbent. The rest of it is related to independent candidates and how that would be handled. That's not the case here, as Ms. Braverman was a registered Democrat. And Fire Commission, so that's not relevant. So those were the sections of the charter under C-204 that applied to how the vacancy is filled. Attorney Ancona, you had cited one other section as well, I believe, in your opinion, which I don't have in front of me right now.
Thank you. Other boards or commissions. If they were, that would be a concurrent office, and they would have to, they would not be eligible under 415.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna open it for discussion. Oh, thank you. Counselor Page.
Before you begin,
yeah.
I just want to address, so when this did come across my email, I actually contacted the Secretary of State's office. In my 18 years as a town clerk or an assistant town clerk, I've been accustomed to the nominations coming through under Section 9 of the general statutes. So when I contacted, at this point, it was Heather Argieri. I addressed the issue with her. I explained to her what I thought the process was, and then I explained to her what our charter read. Her response to me was, if your charter indicates it, that's the process you need to follow. That was when I requested a legal opinion from the town attorney to determine that the charter is the proper course of action versus a party nomination, or in this case, when we had a second candidate coming forward. So I needed to get that confirmation from the Secretary of State, as they are the head elections official, and actually they oversee the office, which I sent out the resignation under for that office. I actually have paperwork that I have to file with them regarding the vacancy at this point until the appointment is made. So in speaking with her, that was when she determined that our charter oversees our town in general, and the statutes do not override that.
Okay. I appreciate you reaching out to the Secretary of State's office. I probably wouldn't have thought of that. I would have just looked to the charter. So thank you for clarifying. Counselor Page, you have the floor.
Thanks, man. You know, just because, as the saying goes, you have a right to do it, does not make it right. This is not right. And we are going to regret this if you go forward with voting for someone other than our Democratic Town Committee nominee. I would also say that when Carol Annis was the chair of our Democratic Town Committee, and she did a good job, and she worked hard. I believe she was chair at the time when you, Mayor, and when Mr. Linares, who took over was appointed by Mr. Wright. I believe she was chair of the party at that time, and she did not act on behalf of Democrats to interfere with the Republicans' right and our respect of your right to name our mayor, then councilor, and Mr. Linares to replace Mr. Wright. We wouldn't have thought of that. So that you're considering this tonight, the unthinkable, is surreal to me. I can't believe we're having this conversation. It's, you know, one of the sayings I learned, I think in school, was about gossip. 3 litmus tests of gossip is it necessary, is it true, and is it helpful? And if it isn't meeting those criteria, then let's not talk about it. This is not necessary. This is not helpful to our town. It's going to hurt our town. And this is not a true process. Again, you may have the legal right, and I'm not an attorney, so I'll defer to the attorneys in the room. This is wrong, and it's dishonest, and it's cynical, and it's what makes people turned off to politics. And other speakers have spoken to that as well. Couple more comments, and then I'll defer. You are stealing the Democratic Town Committee's right to our process to name a nominee in Mr. Trister, who's a good man. You are stealing that from us, and that really, really makes me angry. You have no right to do this ethically, and you can sit there complacently and enjoy this show, whoever it may be doing that. It is wrong, and you will, and we will all regret this day. Mark my word, this is not good for our town and for our leadership, and it's shameful. This is a frontal assault on our democratic process. This is not just an end around game, and we have our fights in private. This is an ugly political fight, public political fight, and it's not necessary, and it's not helpful, and it's dishonest. I would ask that you vote for John Trister. He's a good man, an educated man. He has all the qualifications to do a fine job. And just as we're learning about budget process, for those who brought that up, John is more than capable of learning our budget process with the stewardship of y'all who have had more experience and take this very seriously as well. We know that. And we have Janet and other good people to guide us through that. Thank goodness, because I'm deer in the headlights first time around. This time we got a little bit more traction, but and we're going to dig into it. But the arguments about Mr. Trister's qualifications or Ms. Annis' years of experience, which is with great respect, is moot. And it's not the point tonight. I yield to my colleagues and I ask for your thoughtful consideration of the implications of what you're about to do tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rada?
Yes. Again, I'm not going to make this about the person because we have talked and we have heard about the qualifications of both people. I have a couple of points and questions that I have. Number one, a nomination, yes, can come from the floor, I'm assuming. However, we had the opportunity at the beginning of our meeting to adjust our agenda, which we did not. We've completely jumped ahead and over a resolution that is in place and is part of our agenda to be superseded by something that, for all intents and purposes, I feel needs to be new business. We have a process in place for both parties, and I respect both parties, Democrat and Republican, that when there is an opening, there is a process, and there is precedent for this, and this has not been followed. It's an end run. It's divisive. It does nothing but create greater contention that we already are seeing and feeling and that people are getting sick of in our community. I quite frankly feel it's despicable and it does no service to either Mr. Trister or Ms. Annis. I question the way this is being done. I will defer. I'm not an attorney, so I defer to Mr. Ancona and Mr. Kelly to look further into this and come back and please tell me that this is the proper, appropriate, and statutorial way that our council is being run. Again, of course, you know where I stand, and I'm urging a vote for Mr. Trister. And I respectfully listen to anything that anyone else has to say on the council.
Thank you, Councilor Rada. Councilor Mankey.
Just one point. Under the agenda, it says appointment of a replacement, it doesn't say which replacement. So the agenda doesn't have to be amended. It says appointment of a replacement, so it's covered in the agenda.
Although his name is in the
packet.
packet.
But we can add anybody's name in the packet that's coming off the floor. I just have a couple points. Excuse me?
I just said how fast. Thank you.
Just a couple points I would make that I would remind everybody, this is not a party's appointment. This is a town's appointment. This person we're asking to serve a vacancy, fill the vacancy, does so on behalf of the town. And I would assume that if this were the other way around and it was a Republican, it would be the best for the town, not the best for the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. The charter is pretty clear in my mind. I read it over 4 or 5 times this morning, and it's pretty clear that it's the council's decision. We talk about precedents, how it's in the past worked, and that has served us well. In my experience, in my knowledge, we're 3 vacancies on the council, and so it doesn't happen that often. In all 3 cases, the party's nomination was put in, but there was no nomination, or there's nobody from the floor that asked to be part of that. Just for Councilman Page, when Mr. Linares took over for Jeff Wright, he was the deputy mayor, so he automatically took that position, so he filled in that vacancy. So that wasn't the same process in a sense. I think to be inclusive, anybody who comes off the floor and says, I would like to be part of the town council, and here's why, I think we have an obligation as a council to consider that. It shouldn't be up to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party to handpick a successor when there might be someone off the floor that's qualified, or there might be someone off the floor that wants to serve. And I think they should be afforded at least a consideration. And I think that's what we're doing today. The charter was open for a couple of months ago, and this never came up, and I didn't ever expect us to see this. I was hoping Sharon would be able to stay on for the next 10 months and be able to fill her term out, and we wouldn't be here, or that there'd be 1 nomination and it would be a done deal. But in this case, we have 2 nominations, and so we're stuck here in a sense, with 2 separate candidates, 2 separate groups of experience, and 2 people that are quite willing to serve and quite experienced in knowledge to serve. For me, it comes down to who has the better experience in serving on the council, and what that experience brings to the town, especially if you're going through a tough budget season. I'm sure that at least I opened my electric bill today and found that my electric rate has skyrocketed. So my budget's now in some flux. I think all of our budgets are in some flux, and this is a critical time for the town. If there's any time when the council is worth their salt, it's during the budget process, because there's a lot of tough decisions to be made. There's a lot of important issues to be discussed. And I guess I would defer to someone who has been through that process, both on the Board of Ed side and the town council side. So that's where I'm coming from. I would go with better knowledge base.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Councilor Page.
Thanks, Mayor. I just have one more comment. You've said it again, Councilor Mankey. I know it was said by folks who spoke at public participation about this being 2 nominations, and I know Councilor Camillo just made the nomination. But I think, again, I just want to point out that it's a false equivalent, that a true nomination by past practice and the tradition of the town comes from the respective party. And it isn't what's good for the Democratic Party or good for the Republican Party. We have a process where 2 parties work together and respect each other's processes to name their folks to move forward to represent all residents and to do the budget for all residents. And this tonight is being disrespected if it moves forward. And so it is not 2 nominations. Yes, technically, Councilor Camillo nominated, but that does not speak to the process that the Democratic and the Republican town committees have a right to engage in and should be protected and respected moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Councilor Mankey, is your hand back up?
Yeah, I agree. It is unprecedented. Again, I said we never had 2 nominations to fill a vacant council seat in the past. But I think it behooves us to consider both nominations, whether one's from a party and one's not from a party. I think it behooves us to consider both nominations.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll just add a quick comment. I don't see any other hands up from the council, but, I hope you can tell from my demeanor this evening that this is not an easy or usual circumstance. This isn't just a matter of business, the way we normally take up business and go through our agenda. This came forward, to us recently. Not something that we've ever seen before. In looking at the qualifications of candidates, and I know Councilor Rada had said that she's not making it about the person. For her, it's about the process. I will just say that from my perspective, when we're elected, we are elected to make decisions that oftentimes are very difficult. This is difficult. But when I was elected and I swore to the town charter, and Councilor Page, you spoke to swearing to the town charter just a few meetings ago, and how we have to uphold that. The town charter does not speak to anything other than the person needs to be of the same party. Councilor Annis, I automatically defer to that because she has been on this council with me in the past. Ms. Annis has served as a counselor in the past, has many years of experience. And you know, there's no arguing the level of experience that she has. And for me, it is about the person, because we are elected to make the best decision we can for the town of Newington. And so based on the experience that's before us and the two names that have been brought forward, I would be hard pressed to vote against Carol Annis in her level of experience, in her level of volunteerism, in her level of passion for the town that I know to be true. While this is extremely difficult, I think it's clear the way the charter reads that it is our job as a council to do what's right for our community and make this decision, difficult or not. So that's where we're at this evening. We do have a motion, we have a second. I don't see any other hands up, so I will call the vote. I believe in this instance, it would make sense to do a roll call vote.
I would recommend.
Thank you.
Excuse me, are we voting on Counselor Canillo's?
That's the motion that's
The
on
motion
the
on the
floor, yes.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Budrako,
Abstain.
Counselor Canillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
As Sharon Braverman told us today, to vote no, I vote no.
Counselor Rada,
No.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
4 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention.
That's inappropriate, sir.
Go fuck yourself.
Come over here. I'll tell you who to fuck with.
No, Counselor Donahue, if we need to have someone removed, we will. Counselor Donahue will handle it appropriately.
Don't talk to me about respect.
You have no credibility at all.
We're gonna have an
I
issue,
just
we'll
spent
call
my
the
whole
police
night
department to
pretending
respond,
that
John.
something was happening here that isn't. You're all glad-handing each other like you respect each other when you completely screw over the process. Don't talk to me about respect.
Sir, you're out of order.
I'm out the door.
You're out of order and I will leave. Thank you. I know this is difficult. We are going to move on with our agenda, folks. I take back my compliment earlier. Next item this evening is an appointment to the Human Rights Commission. I'm going to place in our packet. Hold on, please. Counselor Page.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointment to the Human Rights Commission. Diane M. Kutea, member, 95 Sterling Drive, Party D, term 1/24/23 to 11/30/23, replaces reappointment self de facto since 12/1/22.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Rada. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item is Anna Reynolds, School Public Building Committee, resignation of Danielle Drost.
Hang on, I've got it in
Counselor
this 1
Mankey.
second, hang on.
Yep.
Wait a minute, hang on.
Paperwork here.
The Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Danielle Draz, Anna Reynolds School Public Building Committee in accordance with a communication dated January 18th, 2023.
Is there a second? Second by Counselor Donahue. Any discussion?
Yes.
Counselor
Just
Camilla?
want to thank Danielle. I'm on the Anna Reynolds school board, and it's been a pleasure working with her.
Thank you. Counselor Adam?
Yeah. Again, I'm also the Democratic Council member for the Anna Reynolds Building Committee, and Danielle has always been very well considered, thoughtful, in her questions, her comments. I'm sorry to see her step off. She'll be missed, and I want to thank her for her service to the town and to the building committee.
Thank you, Counselor Retta. I would like to add my thanks also. Danielle's always kind of calming voice on that committee and has served well, and I appreciate her service. Any other council comment? Oh, Counselor Camilla, your hand is still up. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Counselor Nagel absent. Next item this evening is appointment of a replacement for the Anna Reynolds Public Building Committee. Counselor Menke?
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointments: Anna Reynolds School Public Building Committee, Bruce Fletcher, member, 75 Lantern Lane, Party R, term 1/24/2023 to 11/14/2023. Replaces the resignation of Dee Draz.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Donahue. Any discussion on this? Counselor Menke?
The question come up whether he serves as also as he's the chair of the Board of Ed, he also serves as the ex officio member. I would assume now he would be a voting member as he has an official seat. Is that correct?
Correct. Usual to see the chairman of the board place himself in the voting position, but he does have that ability to appoint any members to any of the subcommittees that we have representation on from the board.
Right, and reading from Danielle's letter of resignation, it is I know it's a one meeting a week, but it is a time-consuming effort. So I would appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to hang in there and serve the term.
Counselor Page?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to thank Dr. Fletcher for his ongoing service. I think he's doing a great job for our schools and with his leadership on the board and for all of our students, teachers, and staff. And this is an additional responsibility. And again, I thank him very much.
Yeah, something else.
Yep.
Counselor Camilla?
I know we have other board members on the Board of Ed, and I was just curious why we didn't have anybody else instead of him. That's all.
I mean, that would be a question for him, I guess.
Right.
You'd have to ask. The appointment comes forward from the boards
Mhm.
and from him.
I know it's their vote, so.
All right, we have the motion. We have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Counselor Nagel absent. Item is refunds, approval of the January 24th. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, if you would.
The property tax refunds in the amount of $2,919.97 are hereby approved in the individual amounts for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Rada. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Counselor Nagel absent. Next item this evening is approval of minutes. We have before us the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve those as written.
So moved.
Counselor Menke, seconded by Counselor Camillo.
I did fill in for Counselor Nagel in his absence. I did read them.
Any corrections or discussion on that? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Counselor Menke, your hand's up, is it supposed to?
No,
be?
I'm up for the next one.
Okay.
I'm just getting ready.
Just getting ready, preemptive, got it. All right, next item this evening under new business is roadway dedication for the Newington Veteran Firefighters Memorial Roadway. Counselor Menke, if you would.
Yeah, just I chair the naming committee for the town, and the committee is made up of Sharon Braverman, John Donahue, and myself. And I have to take credit. This is probably the last. I was at Sharon Braverman's last official duty. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago, a week ago, last Wednesday. And we're bringing forth this proposal. I would thank Mr. DeMayo for bringing this to our attention way back, one of the first or second meeting after the election. I apologize it's taken so long to get to this point. We really struggle with the idea of how we name things, how we dedicate things. And I think it's an important thing for the community to recognize people that serve. But there's only so many rooms, there's so many closets, or so many water fountains you can dedicate. So in this case, though, I think it was probably a no-brainer. It just took us a while to go through the process of dedicating this portion of the street from Newington Avenue to the intersection of Robbins, Maple Avenue that goes in front of the Firehouse 5, I believe, right? Five. We recommend we dedicate it to Newington Veterans Firefighters Association. This is their 70th anniversary this year, and I think it's appropriate that we do this. We recognize them. These are firefighters who probably, given their choice, when that bell rang, they would go to the fire. But maybe due to physical limitations or just they want to sleep in, which I would think I would be doing. They can't anymore, but they still serve the community and the fire department by being members of the Veterans Firefighters Association. So I think it's appropriate that we dedicate this portion of the street to them, and I would recommend we do that at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any council comment? Go ahead, Councilor Page.
Thanks, Mayor. I would be very strongly in favor of this, and I would hope that we could put our money where our mouth is and not only put some signage up to recognize your contribution, but also look in our budget season at your pension and to look at the cost of living adjustment, that automatic COLA that should be implemented, in my opinion, to compensate you for the work that you've done. My understanding is it's been about 10 years since that's been adjusted or looked at. I think that's 10 years too late. So let's do this sign, but let's also look at how we can take care of you with your pension moving forward. So thank you, Mayor.
All right, Councilor Menke.
Again, my committee's purview is just the dedication.
I know we have many firefighters in the room and veteran firefighters. Would you all just raise your hand so we can see how many of you are present? Your service, and I'm glad the naming committee did consider this. I know it's been kind of hanging out. There was a request a while ago. We had been looking at changing our process and procedure, and it feels right that we move forward with this. So we'll go ahead and move that to our agenda for our next council meeting so that we can take action on it. It was new business this evening. We'll move it forward to old business.
Just as I may, just from the committee, and this was Councilor Braverman's suggestion, that we come up with a plan to recognize people in town for their service, whether it's to the fire department or whether it's serving on conservation for 10 terms, or whether it's serving on the council or serving any other many ways that people volunteer for this town. We're looking at a sort of a kiosk system where you could sort of go up to a computer and you could type in, I want to see all the fire commissioners and their years, and they would pop up. Or I want to see all the firefighters in their years, and that would pop up. Or I want to see, to me, really important, I think, the history of those people who were veterans that gave their life for the town. We used to have their pictures up in the lobby of the old town hall. Well, this way you could pull up their names and see those pictures and see their brief bio that every Veterans Day and Memorial Day, we look at the bio, but this way you can see it actually on a kiosk. So we are still looking at some process of naming those things or dedicating a kiosk so people could look those things up. As opposed to naming rooms and water fountains and trash cans and those things after people. We want to have some way to comprehensively recognize people who served our town and in whatever capacity, whether it be fire department or EMS. I see EMS here, or police officers who retired from the town. So
Thank you.
more to come.
All right, so we're all set with, that was the only item.
That's the next meeting.
Next meeting. That's the only item we had under new business. We'll move on to written and oral communications from the town manager.
Thunder on the roadway. We'll still be having that conversation with DOT either way. I can say in Vernon, where I'm a resident, the way they set up the lighting was the light was to the left. They actually included a sign to the right of it to almost indicate the lane itself. I can't say that it works any better, but it's something we're working on. We've got a couple of updates to National Welding. We finally heard back from DECD on our remediation budget. So one of two pieces to get us closer to the closing on that one. I'm very happy with that. Mr. Shu has been informed of that as well. So he knows we're a little bit closer at this point. He had just closed out his general contractor bids coming in on, I believe it was January the 13th. So I know he's wanting to get moving on it as well, as the town is. And very shortly, once we have a conversation about it, we'll be determining a meeting to discuss in a special session, the Emergency Operations Center and possible placement locations around town. That's pretty much all I've got at the moment.
Councilor Page?
Thank you, Mayor. James, let me just see, we're heading into budget season. I know we've had some correspondence from Representative Turco about possible state monies that might be available to help us in the event that we decide to do something about our pools. Can we get between now and next meeting a brief summary of when the pools were installed and what the status of the maintenance of the pools is, and are they safe? And are they serving the town not only now at 30,000+, but over the next 5 to 10 years with another 3,000 to 5,000 or more folks coming into town? Our growth is great, but we also need to maintain our infrastructure and one of our gems, which is our park and rec. So can we get a very brief summary of what the status of that is, rather than continue to say in budget season, it would be nice if we did it, but we don't have the money. Instead, let's say, how about after 60 years or so of the pools being here and them falling apart and not being able to use them and being shut down and possibly unsafe, we actually do something about it and we fix them or we replace them.
We are actually currently working with Mr. Turco and Mr. Lesser and Mr. Farrar, putting together the required paperwork to go before the house bonding.
Okay.
And that paperwork is being handled right now through the Parks and Recreation Department and their consultant from the project that they drew up. I'll be happy to gather that together. I'll also include the entire master plan that does have an overview of the installation, repairs that have been done in current conditions. So you'll be able to take a look at that.
And if we can just look at what would be a reasonable approach to remedying these, and I know, and I agree with the mayor and others who have said, we can't have a gazillion-dollar pool with all the bells and whistles. That's not what we're here for. That would not be responsible.
Yeah, that is the discussion we are in the process of having. You're not getting the Taj Mahal, but we'll have a safe pool in place for the public.
There you go.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Camillo?
When you're getting that information, could you go to building department and see how many permits for new pools happened during COVID from 19 to 23? I know being part of that process when Keith was here, there was a couple options of repairing the pools because there was all the plumbing and wiring was put next to the playground for a splash pad. So repair Mill Pond and do something really big over at Churchill. So because we don't want to change the whole view of the park because some of Bill DeMayo's plans are bringing it over to Garfield and that won't work.
There were a few presentations that they had presented. Actually, Councilor Donahue is actually the chair of the Mill Pond Committee. So there were 3 or 4 presentations that were done for different locations, as well as test pits that were completed to determine water table levels in that area. But we can pull that information together for you at the next meeting.
We don't have the parking and all that to do something like that here at Mill Pond. Just think there goes the extravaganza. You wouldn't have that anymore.
Now, I will say that we did have some of that discussion with Mr. DeMayo and Mr. Pedigo during his budget discussion as well, and possible other locations throughout the park system area for Mill Pond. Some of that could have been on the opposite side near the softball, not softball, soccer fields. There is a small little tuck-in area there that is a lot of times used for smaller format soccer fields, but it has some possibilities. So we are looking at all options.
Because the way we left it at the last meeting when this was brought up during the building committee was Bill said, give me a shovel-ready project with a building committee and he'll get $8 million in a grant, and he never brought that to the table. So
I know he has been working out there trying to find those fundings. He has actually indicated as part of the proposal with the state of a possibility of fundraising up to about 1.5 million, hoping for about 4 by the state, and some possibility of us funding some of that through CIP or ARPA funding. So we're looking at all options at this time to make sure that they're in place and available for the public.
Thank you.
Counselor Page?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one more comment on this, I promise. Counselor Mankey and Counselor Camilla have made comments about parking, and I agree our parking situation, and we've all agreed, I think our parking, as we reconfigure town hall and other infrastructure, is a problem. And, you know, we have these fantastic services and people can't always access them, or they're frustrated in trying to access them because they can't park, or people are stealing somebody's parking area from one service to another. I think as we continue to grow for the next few years, 3, 4, 5,000 people, we do have to take a look at some point at what are our options, including a parking garage. Do we do that? I'm not talking a skyscraper. I'm not talking, but towns that grow recognize from an infrastructure standpoint and a parking standpoint that we need to figure it out. We don't just say, we don't have parking, so I guess we can't move the pool there, or we can't expand services. We are growing our town. We have a responsibility to grow our parking and to grow accommodations so that people can actually use our fantastic services. So thank you.
Counselor Donahue?
Yeah, I'm happy that we're looking at the pools. As chairman of the committee, I mean, there was quite the pool presented. My concern is, is Bill jumping the line? Right, there are other projects that have been waiting and languishing. I mean, the library for one, which, we don't own that parking lot, they do. Right, so I don't want to, say, Bill, go out and get this money when there's other people who have been waiting longer. We did the town hall before we did Anna Reynolds, which didn't make sense to me, but that's the way it happened. Let's make sure we don't jump the line again, because I can probably tell you that if we come forward with a pool, we'll have a room full this big with the library people.
I'll address that slightly. The pool itself would not be a bonded project. That would be the difference between the library and the pool.
Okay.
So that is one of the main differences. If he's able to fundraise and he's able to get state funding for it, that's great. If the library is able to do some of that as well, that's a possibility for us. That can offset some of our required bonding on that project. But those are discussions we are having. We are still waiting to see what the library's proposed plan is. They've been in discussions as a group themselves, which I believe you've been privy to possibly.
The friends and the trustees are working together.
I want to make sure that we're, upfront. So it would be two different
setups.
We wouldn't bond the pool, we would. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Mankey?
Just a quick comment. Counselor Page, it's the library that keeps reminding me about the parking issue. I'm not usually here, and so parking isn't a problem for me, and I can always park on the street and walk. But parking is an issue. Parking, we knew that going in when we built the community center larger than we anticipated. And I remember in those meetings, the architect said, there's going to be plenty of parking. He said that. And I said, okay, well, he must have some plan of how parking is allocated. But it turns out, like a lot of things, there was not plenty of parking, and there is not plenty of parking. There is on normal occasions, but when you have an activity at the library, activity at town hall, and an activity at the park, there is no parking. And I know I've been, over the summer, I was here to a number of meetings that were in this room or someplace else, and I had no place to park. Not so bad for me, because I could walk. I could park down in front of the buses and walk up. But if you're handicapped, it was a problem. People come to those meetings that I was attending, they couldn't find a place to park. So we have to look at this whole thing, not just in silos, this silo, that silo, this. We have to look at the whole process. And I think parking is one of the major issues we have to solve.
Anyone else? Counselor Camillo?
You're talking about parking. I brought it up. Keith is working on it for the past few years, find a place for the school buses. Take those away and find out there's plenty of places in town. The Board of Ed doesn't want to go there. He's had 3 or 4 spots. If we can move those buses, there's plenty of parking for many events, including the community center for basketball, et cetera. And one of the things we really need to look at for the next budget is fire, police, and EMS. We can get the Board of Ed under control. There'd be plenty of money for those 3 departments. They should come first.
Counselor Rada?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Councilor Mankey just had to say, we just completed our Winterfest, which we haven't had in 2 years, and came back again this past Friday. And we're concerned because there was also an event, I think it was a basketball game going on at the community center as well. And there's always been issues of parking, and we try to do the best we can, all of us, I'm sure. And my vision, and I'm sure the vision of others, is to look at this entire space, which I view as the library, the senior and disabled center, the town hall and community center, including the pools, as a campus. And that we work together and try to figure out how best we can utilize that space and thoughtfully develop and reorganize what's going on. So I look forward to finding out more about what's going to be happening and some thoughts on what Parks and Rec is interested in doing, and would like to see possibly a broader discussion, bringing groups together to discuss what the needs are and what we can do so that we can make the best of the space that we have and make it as accessible to folks as possible. Because not all of us can easily walk. I mean, I can walk from my house, so I'm embarrassed to say I drive to the library sometimes, but yeah, not everyone is that fortunate.
You got space for 2 cars in your driveway?
I do, and in front of the house, so.
So
there you go.
Part of the problem solved.
November to
Okay, for
April.
my new kitchen.
All right, anything else for the town manager? All right, we'll move on now to council liaison committee reports. I was nervous, there were no hands up. Counselor Mankey.
I know, without.
That never happens.
Without Councilor Nagel, it seems like there's a vacuum in the room. I just would report that, Councilor Rada, you were there on Zoom, right? Parks and Rec?
No, because I had another meeting at the same time.
She was there in spirit. But I did attend the Parks and Rec board meeting last week, and the pools came up as an issue, and we discussed it quite thoroughly. So I just wanted to report that we did that, and I guess that's all I have.
Okay, Counselor Page?
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the Human Rights Commission and all the folks on that commission for the good work they're doing. They had, as we know, a while back, a wonderful presentation at the library, and they continue to work hard. I popped in when I had time briefly to their meeting, and they continue to do the hard work to see how they can represent anyone who may be facing some challenges with either disenfranchisement or marginalization, that we have an obligation to attend to and raise them up as best we can as a town. So thank you to all those folks for their good work. It's done very quietly and it's powerful stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Rada?
Our bi-monthly meeting for the Ann Reynolds Building Commission that Councilor Camillo and I sit on is moving ahead. We're hopeful that at some point, I know we talked at the last meeting about doing a walkthrough, not as part of the meeting, but aside from the meeting, and doing another walkthrough, which we did a couple of months ago. Though I am not the liaison to the library committee, I will step in lieu of Counselor Nagel, just to say that, yes, Winterfest was a huge success with balancing all the books and considering everything that we had to pay for. I think the last count was somewhat over $9,000 that we made. And I know Counselor Budraco and I were the foodies. We had our masks and our gloves on, and were providing folks with food that night. And Counselor Mankey was there. I think a good time was had by all. People missed having that event. On the downside, the last I heard, there are still leaks in a portion of the roof of the library. It's being attended to piece by piece, but yes, we're still seeing some leaking.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for that update. Any other council liaison committee reports? All right, we'll move on now to public participation. As I said earlier, any member of the public that would like to address the council can do so either in person here by coming up and stating your name and address for the record. On Zoom, in the participants window, you can dial *9 to raise your hand to be recognized. We just ask that we limit to 3 minutes and that we are respectful and no personal attacks. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Hi, Eileen Franklino, 116 Lidle Road. A couple of things. This discussion of the pool versus the library, being on the Parks and Rec Board, you can only imagine what this does to the hairs on the back of my neck. I have a hard time understanding why the library can yearly come and ask for more money when they are sitting on enough money that they have to have a money management fund. I understand that they are not governed by the same set of rules that everybody else is in this town, but clearly they have a big pot of money, and to come back and keep asking for more seems just out of place in this rough budget year. The other thing is the bus garage. The bus garage is it's not owned by, it's Board of Ed property. That's just the way it is. Moving on to something else, I will have to say that this was probably the worst piece of political theater I have seen in a long time from the town. This was a preordained decision, and to sit up here and listen, oh, this was such a hard choice. This was a hard choice when Mr. Camillo's motion was already typed, already up there, already ready to go. It was not a surprise to any of you what was going on. I don't understand why a copy of Carol's letter was not made available to the public. It could have been put over there. It could have been put up there, anywhere. There was no copy of the legal opinion that was made available to the public. And I really don't understand this whole business about eligibility because they sit on different boards or commissions. We had people run for public office who held elected positions that they didn't resign. So I really don't understand where it was coming from. But I am disappointed that you didn't hold by precedent-setting ways in which people's vacancies are filled. And I think you've opened up a big can of worms for the town and only increased the political divide. It's unfortunate.
I'm going to take an online caller first, and then we'll come back to in the room. Ms. Lyons is next.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I'd like to thank Sharon Braverman for all the years of service that she's given to the town of Newington. I followed the Board of Education when she was on that, and then was also watching when she was on the town council, and I'm saddened to see that because of family issues that she has to resign. But I wish her and High well, and I hope that they get their situations better, and maybe she can come back again and serve the town of Newington. I want to congratulate Carol on her appointment as a replacement for Sharon Braverman. I don't know about the process and the procedure, but I know that Carol will be a good person in that seat, and hopefully we can go on peacefully from now on and try and mend fences. I don't know if that's possible, but I certainly would like to see it. I'm glad to hear the discussion come up about the pool. I've seen on Facebook and I read in the Parks and Rec minutes that there's plans for a proposed Mill Pond Park pool. And part of that is to use monies from the state if we get them. And the other thing I saw mentioned both in the minutes and on the Facebook post was using American Rescue Plan Act grant monies. And I completely have to disagree with that. If it's something that the town needs, and then fine and good. But I think there's other things that would benefit the town, whether it all be in perhaps looking at obtaining of some open space or looking into giving some money to the human services for people that have lost their jobs and are struggling to pay their bills, whether it be for the project that I have advocated for a long time, the South Park branch of the Park River maintenance along Millbrook and Piper Brook. If those maintenances don't get performed and it gets decertified as a flood control area, we're going to be in trouble. As far as the monies the library has, I don't know what they have, but I do know that Parks and Rec has monies, and I know they have a CIP, and I know that they dip into our CIP as well. I'd like to see a presentation to the town residents. Again, I've sat through Churchill Park, $19 million, Mill Pond Park, $10 or $12 million. I'd like to see, bottom line, what we can do and how we can do it. I'm not arguing that we don't need to fix the pool or replace the pool, but I don't think we need the Taj Mahal. As far as putting it on the soccer field, I hope somebody looks into the original plans that were proposed for the town hall reno committee, that the community center be placed on that field, and that was not a viable plan. All these things I'd like to see brought to the public. I thank you very much. It's been a very contentious night. Please go home, rest, take a deep breath, and let's go forward, and hopefully in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. You have the floor.
Dana Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue. I'm going to start with some easy stuff. Parking, yeah, it's no better. And I actually agree with you. I think a parking garage might be a good idea, and I think we should put it in the senior center because they don't have enough parking either, and it's in close proximity to both the library and the town hall. So if we're going to do a parking garage, that's where we should do it. But speaking of that, we also commissioned for quite a pretty penny a company to come and tell us what we should do first and what's in great need. And I keep, yeah, but I'm just saying, let's pay attention to that because I see favorite projects popping back up again, and I don't hear anybody referring to the Owens report. Now, the icky stuff. I heard a couple of counselors, or one in particular, saying that they're worried about division. I heard them say how wonderful Sharon was, and I agree, and how she remained calm, and how she would educate and teach. And I saw the opposite. I saw somebody with a condescending and angry tone speaking to those of us in the public, to their fellow board members. So I implore you to try to emulate the person who you so admire. And I also would implore you to turn to your social media guru who runs your Democratic Town page, and John Kelly, if he's up, there he is. If you too can do that, because you're worried about division already. They posted flames. All right, save the date, Tuesday, November 7th, the day we restore democracy to Newington. Well, listen, we followed democracy. Our charter was written, it was followed. Our town manager called the Secretary of State to make sure we would do the right thing. It's all, yeah, your committee didn't get their way, but democracy was followed. Sucks for you, sorry. But the whole town is really benefiting. I know your hearts are into this. I know Mr. Trister's heart is into this. But right now, we really need somebody's past experience and knowledge to help guide not just you, but the rest of this council. And for the next 10 months, I think the right decision was made. Thank you. Sorry, pointing at the glass.
Thank you. We're going to go online. We have another hand up. We have Jessica Weaver is next.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Jessica Weaver, 494 Main. Just wanted to say this was a little shocking to me. I received notice that there's gonna be another nomination about 5 o'clock yesterday. So within 24 hours, I had already kind of said, you know, I'm excited to work with you, John, on the budget. And then this kind of craziness happened. So I think the mayor said it was recently, and then it was like, well, I've not even had 24 hours and I just got out of work. What's happening? So it was just a little confusing how this has gone. And I guess I'm disappointed because I don't like things that are off the table and that aren't transparent. And so I just feel like I didn't know anything and I'm supposed to be kind of in the know, but this is what I hate about politics and what I said I would never be about. And quite frankly, as the young person, the only one under 30 elected here, it's always on me to look to my elders to say, you know, set an example. And I feel like a poor example has been set. So I'm disappointed, to be honest, because I've also reached out to all of you and sent an email asking for a joint meeting between the Board of Ed and the Town Council, because I know there's been so much back and forth, and I really want to set a precedent, but it seems like there's constantly political things happening. As someone who hasn't wanted to be someone who's just really excited about our education system, this is incredibly frustrating when politics continues to take up most of the meetings, whether it's at Board of Ed or at Town Council. So I would ask, I've only gotten a response from Ms. Rada, Mr. Page, and Ms. Braverman actually responded to my email. I've not gotten a response from anyone else about a joint meeting, but I'll still ask for that. And I'd also just take umbrage with some of the comments that we need to get our BOE budget under control. One of those things, again, is making sure that we really listen to every department. We really want this town to be good, and I hope that's our mission for all of us. So to say one department gets it over another and acting like one piece of the pie means not another piece for you, I disagree with completely. So my goal, and I think all of our collective goals should be to continue to work together. That has not been the case. So I take a lot of difficulty with tonight and how everything was kind of not done in front of the public. It was just a last minute thing, literally less than 24 hours. So if we're going to do things, please let's be transparent about it. And I hope you can be transparent. And I know Mayor has said she'll come to our budget meeting next week. I hope to see all of you there. And I hope we can have a joint meeting at some point to be able to talk about the budget process, both BOE and town. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bob Teller, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
How about your Newington address?
So, what I've seen tonight, I was 11 years old, November 22nd, 1963. I witnessed the coup d'etat. I was 11 years old. My teacher, Miss Markowitz, she says, I hope this wouldn't have happened in your lifetime. She said that to me. And as I was walking toward the front of the school, my water. Sorry, my throat's dry. I had to stand up, my back is killing me. I was walking toward the front of the school, and it was John Patterson School on, what was it, Church Street and whatever. It's on the corner there, everybody knows where it is. And there's lines there, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5 for the bus. So as I'm walking toward the front, I'm 11 years old, and there's about 30 kids there, 3 or 4 teachers. Back in 1963, you raised your voice in the classroom, you got spanked. And as I'm walking toward the front, these kids are yelling, Johnson did it, Johnson did it. Talk about Lyndon Baines Johnson. He was voted the most corrupt president ever, by the way, folks, just for the record. So what did the teachers do? There's 3 or 4 teachers there. They're supposed to keep everybody calm and in control. What did the teachers do? They put their heads down and did nothing. They turned around and did nothing. They knew that a coup d'etat had taken place. And I just witnessed a coup d'etat tonight. And Beth, within saying that, you should resign effective immediately. And you too. And as far as you go, you shouldn't live in Vernon and be the town manager. You should live in Newington. So Beth, I'm waiting for you to resign.
We don't interact in public comment.
I got all night.
No, you got 3 minutes.
Counselor Donahue, I got it. I'm running the meeting. You're entitled to 3
28 seconds
minutes.
to resign. 27, go ahead, resign, Beth. You betrayed the town of Newington. Really? You know, I got a cable show and I mopped the floor with you. And I'm just going to continue to mop the floor with you. It's not going to end. I'm going to call you whatever I want to call you because it's called the First Amendment. So I'm still waiting for you to resign, Beth. You too. Come on, John. Be a
Mr.
man for
Tallard, your
once.
time is up. I would respectfully request that you end your comments.
Resign, Beth. I told you to resign. I'm a voter, a taxpayer. You don't want to pay any taxes. You're the one that made a motion. No, I don't want to pay any taxes because I'm the mayor
You are
of
out
town.
of order. I am asking you to please step away and allow another member of the public an opportunity to speak.
Resign.
Mr. Tallard, your time is up. I am asking you to leave. If you do not, we will call the police department to have you removed. There are other members of the public waiting to speak, and that's our procedure.
I'll tell you what, you can see the trouble with that. I got a list of every cop in the town of Newington right here. Want to call the chief of police? Yeah. You call them. Well, what would you like to do? I think you are. No, I was 1963 all over again. Really. 1963 all over again, man. You should be proud. Really. You're gonna get out in history.
We have a member of the public with their hand up on the Zoom call. I'm going to allow them to speak.
Better resign, Beth. I'm just,
Hi, Sue. Hello, Sue Mazzicoli. No longer a resident of Newington, but was for 47 years until September of this year. And I was just so sad when my good friend Marie Fox passed away. And now I'm even sadder hearing about another council member of long standing leaving the town council, and for what I've heard, health reasons in her family. And I want to say how sorry I am to her and her husband, and thank you for all of your service. I know how angry people are feeling right now who supposedly, you know, their person didn't get appointed, because that's how angry I was when Marie Fox didn't get nominated after 32 years of serving her community. And so I understand the anger. It will go away. Life moves on. I know that sounds so ridiculous when you say it out loud, but it does. And I'm disappointed, I gotta say, in some of the public members' comments. I understand that John Trister is a very nice young man. I've met him a couple of times, and I'm hoping that he will run again as he has in the past, and that his supporters will get out there and make sure that he wins this time. So I just want to say thank you for our town council for remaining calm and cool and collected during a very difficult town meeting. And I just want to remember Marie Fox tonight and all that she did to serve her town, and how horrible I felt when her Democrat Party of 40 years decided not to nominate her once again. So am I feeling a little bit vindictive? Yeah, I am. I got to be honest. I am. But at the same time, not against John, against the Democrat Party, which I am still a member of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mazzacoli. You have the floor.
Richard Da Silva, 485 Connecticut Avenue. I don't remember if it was Counselor Page or one of the general public that made comments that it's difficult to find volunteers to potentially fill those seats. One of the issues is that people don't want to be slandered and dragged online. And from the earlier display, we kind of have a good idea whose supporters are doing this. When violent, aggressive people are supporting your policies and maybe you should take a look at your policies, because people only support things that they see have similar values to them. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we're looking for a new town manager also. Probably got tired of being slandered and dragged online. I am probably going to be slandered and dragged online here in a few minutes. More than likely on that page that Michael Branda is the admin of. So just so you guys know, I don't care about my reputation. Have fun slandering me. I don't have a business in this town. You can't ruin it. Have fun. With that, have a good night.
Hands online, so you have the floor.
Anastasia, 138th Street, Newington. I just want to say thank you to everyone today. Just like the Board of Ed, we take our time out and we're volunteering. I do want to say to Kim, because I was at the Winterfest for the first time, it was amazing. I thought it was like the best thing ever. So thank you for the invite and all the others that volunteered. That was really like a pleasure to be at. I did hear things about the pool and the buses. So hopefully, Carol is nominated. Hopefully we can work together, Board of Ed and Town Council. I do look forward to that. I am the chair of the Finance and Budget Committee. I am going to welcome you guys come to maybe a budget committee meeting. We do have them separate in the Board of Ed, and they are open to the public. We're working on right now possibly having one on Tuesday if that works. You can come virtually as well. So your thoughts and opinions are welcome there as well as we get into budget season. So I just want to extend that invitation to everyone. I know some of you have asked me. So I want to say thank you again to John. I know he was the person who was nominated. He does work hard and he volunteers. So hopefully, he'll run again in November. But I look forward to working with you collaboratively this budget season. So thank you very much.
Good evening, Frank DeMayo, 29 Crown Ridge. I am not here this evening as a fire commissioner. I'm here this evening as the president of the Newington Veteran Firefighters Association. And I want to address each and every one of the members of the town council, the committee for the naming of the roadway, and the acting town manager. Thank you all for doing what you do. I know that this has been a very difficult evening for each and every one of us. But for me, this was the bright spot of the evening. This organization goes back well beyond 70 years, but the Veterans Association was started by 7 members back in 1953. We have one remaining member who is still alive, and that's Chief Emeritus Joseph Kolaski. And I am so glad that we were able to get this accomplished for this year, our 70th anniversary, but to have him honored in this particular way. And I can't tell you how proud I am to not only serve as fire commissioner, but as a veteran member of the Newington Fire Department. And each and every one of the members that have gone before me. But the most important thing about having this particular roadway named for the veteran firefighters is because we have members of the department, past, present, and for all of those members in the future. will be recognized from here on out. So thank you all for what you have accomplished. And I'm looking forward to coming back again next month and saying congratulations. Thank you.
Mr. DeMayo. You have the floor.
You know, 327 Walsh Avenue. Counselors, Mayor Beth. What I saw today, it is, democracy has worked. It is two opinions working together. If you don't get your way, you don't get your way. And I'm looking at you, Mitch, but it's nothing to you guys. It's democracy. That's what the founding fathers wanted. Just because two opinions and you don't agree, don't start calling it not democracy. And it really, I wasn't going to say anything until the members of the public made it spectacle. If the law is the law, or the ordinance says it, or the charter says it, then you guys can do it. It's the only time this has ever happened when two people. But what bothers me is, it is democracy. You can be upset, everybody can be upset, but democracy worked. If you don't have the votes, you don't have the votes. That's all I want to say. Oh, I do want to say, Sharon Braverman, I will miss you. She was a great woman and I love talking to her. And as people know, I don't get along with that many Democrats, but I loved Sharon. I'm going to miss her deeply. Thank you.
John Trister, 81 Woodland Street. How's it going, everyone? Madam Mayor, members of the council, James. Thank you for your service to the town, and thank you for being here tonight. I want to take some time to echo what others have said and thank Dr. Braverman for her years of service to the town of Newington. She is truly a Newington institution and will be sorely missed. Like you, Councilor Menke, I wish she was sitting there too. I'm not going to talk about any of the process or any of that. I feel like that's probably been beat to death tonight. Others have made that point. What I do want to say though, and I want to make the comment that, my favorite part about tonight so far was when people referred to me as young. That's sort of a new one for me, and I will be sure to play the recording for my children because they are convinced of the opposite. I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to speak in public participation. Sometimes it can be contentious. Sometimes, as others have said, we don't always agree. But spirited debate is the foundation of democracy. So I'm really happy to see great turnout that we had tonight. It really was great, and that's a great thing. Thank you all for sincerely considering my appointment for the council vacancy. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Michael J. Fox, 1901 Main Street. I just wanted to thank Sue Mazzacoli for those very kind comments about my late wife. And she has been a true friend through her sickness and everything. And so, good luck with your budget. Thank you very much. I will be here to help you out with the budget, of course. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll move on to remarks by counselors. Counselor Donahue.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologize for my outburst. Mike and I have had run-ins before and they have not been pleasant. And,
One that was at the door.
Somebody's at the door? No. So it was improper of me to challenge him in front of everybody, but I do not like being challenged personally or politically, both which have happened tonight. For the joint meeting of the Town Council Board of Ed, Jessica, my understanding is it's got to come through the mayor and the chairman of the Board of Ed, right? I don't think, you can call for, I'm more than happy to participate, but it's got to come through the right channels. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Counselor Rada?
I want to thank again, folks that are still here, folks that have already left, for attending tonight's meeting, for raising their voice and presenting their issues and their concerns. It's important, again, we may agree, we may disagree, but we do it respectfully and we do it with civility. And I am quite upset with the disrespect that I have heard and seen tonight. We're better than this. This is not the way we communicate with one another, and this is not the way that work gets done. And that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Counselor Rada. Counselor Page?
Thanks, Mayor. I would agree with Counselor Rada regarding our need for civil discourse. I want to again thank everyone, agree or disagree, for coming out tonight. I think that's what we're all about. I think this conversation will continue. Hopefully it does continue in a civil manner. I disagree with the social media hostilities that can occur. I think that online, we certainly need to express our opinions, but we need to, you know, and one of the points that was raised by the consulting firm in our town manager search is that one of the characteristics of our town, unlike many that this organization has surveyed, is that we have a lot of hostility online, right, left, and center. And I think that some folks raised that tonight, and I think it's a valid point, and I think it doesn't help our discourse. I think this in person, it helps our discourse, because when we can look eye to eye and we can debate and we can disagree, that's healthy. And I hope, and I know we will continue to do that. And people are free to post whatever they like, and that's America. But I just feel sad and I'm disappointed with what has happened tonight. And yes, I'll say it again to Councilor Camilla and Mr. Delbune and others who have said that there's legality and there's your right to do things, and that doesn't make it right. And I think there will be unintended consequences as a result of this that'll be quite negative for our town, and I'm sorry for that. Thank you.
Counselor Mankey?
Just a quick response to Ms. Weaver. I did get your note for about a joint meeting. I too expected to come to the mayor and the chair of the Board of Ed. You know me, I go to any meetings you want, so I love meetings. So yeah, I'm in if it will help the process along. And I would ask the mayor and the chair of the Board of Ed to schedule a meeting of the council and the board or parts of those. I know there are issues though with of freedom of information and those kinds of things. And I know you can't just, you know, sit down over a beer and hash something out, which is too bad, because I think a lot more things get done if we get sit down over a beer and hash things out. And also to Mr. DeMayo, I would hope that when we get around to voting on this officially in 2 weeks, I promise 2 weeks, we can have 3 weeks.
About a Tuesday on the 31st, so it's 3 weeks now.
So in 3 weeks, we get to vote on this
Valentine's Day
and Valentine's Day. So that's we're coming on Valentine's Day to pass this, which you may want to rethink about coming out to see the meeting then. Because, but anyway, I hope we could then have some kind of a suitable ceremony for undead and for unveiling the sign. So I have some kind of a recognition and some kind of a press release, so that we don't just like slap up a sign and say, okay, there's a sign there. Just everybody, I remember that sign. You know, we should have some kind of a ceremony. So we hope we can work together and get something. Maybe in some warmer weather. Well, I can't tell these days because it's warm one day and it's cold the next day. But maybe in some more sunnier weather than we're having currently. Thank you.
Counselor Camilla?
There's maybe a finance committee meeting, and I know in those meetings, the public can talk, and, you know, we're not shut down like we are in a regular Board of Ed meeting, or they don't recognize you. So I'm looking forward to that meeting. Everybody came out tonight. Thank you. I know it's been a tough meeting, and John Trister, thank you for your comments at the end. Hopefully your chairman can learn from you. You were very gracious, and thank you.
All right. Anyone else? I will just add, because of the contentious nature of the way the meeting went, I think I was remiss in not at least saying congratulations to Counselor Innes on her appointment this evening. She's not here, and I know the swearing in will have to happen at a later date, but congratulations to Carol if she is watching. I do want to say, Mr. Trister, you are a class act. I appreciate the comments this evening, and I appreciate the decorum in your comments. It did not go unnoticed. And I appreciate your service to the town, and I know you are still a sitting member of TPZ and you do good work there, and I appreciate that. Ms. Weaver, I just wanted to, interestingly, your email popped back up in my reminder list this evening during our caucus, and I had mentioned it. And typically my protocol with counselors is if there's a request for a meeting, it kind of funnels through me, and then I would contact whoever the chair of that body is. So I was waiting to hear from Dr. Fletcher, thinking that would be proper process from his end. So if that hasn't happened, and I can certainly reach out and see what we can work out for a meeting also taking into consideration the FOI piece and how we would appropriately post and do that. So we can take a look into that. I would ask, a member of the public mentioned that the letter from Ms. Annis and the town attorney's opinion were not in the packet because they were issued after the fact. So I apologize for that. It just didn't go out with the packet on Friday. But I'm assuming they'll be attached to the minutes or no, or how does that work?
I will have it attached to the minutes. I will actually do an update to the packet online as well. So both those items will be visible later this evening.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. We like to have that. And I think that's it for me. Counselor Camilla, is your hand back up?
Yep, it's back up. Seems like a lot of us have mentioned social media tonight. Stay off of it. That's the best thing you can do. Get on the phone, call whoever you want to talk to or talk to them, not everybody else. Whatever you have a problem with, take it face to face. Have a cup of coffee with them, shake their hand when you're done. And you do it again after you think about it. Be proactive, not reactive, because that's all social media is. It's just to get people upset. You're not informing anybody. You're just driving a wedge between everybody. It has to stop. It really does. I haven't been on since last February. I get an extra 20 hours a month or more, and it's nice. I get to do a lot of other things and not worry about who's saying what. Because it's none of your business unless they can come to you and say it face to face. Good night.
Thank you. All right, no other hands are up. We're going to move next. We have an executive session this evening. Counselor Menke, would you go ahead and read that motion?
Resolved, Newington Town Council in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, section 1-2006B, hereby moves to go into executive session and invites the town council members, the mayor, James Kaprinsky, acting town manager, Ben Ancona, town attorney, to discuss pending litigation against the town of Newington.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Donahue. Any discussion? James, are we staying in this room or are we going?
We'll give about a 5-minute. It'll allow me to set up the white noise.
Yeah, need a break too. So 5 minutes would be great. 5:10. Yeah. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We stand in executive session at 10:07 PM.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we're back from executive session. There's no action to be taken. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Camillo, seconded by Counselor Donahue. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We stand adjourned at 10:48 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Executive session, I'm sorry.
A long time ago.
I